Welcome to the Yerky Boys. May the Kandrona shine and strengthen you. My name is Will,
My name is Jonathan.
and we are the Yerky Boys. Yeah, got another. Well, this is going to be a good episode, I think.
You do think that?
Well, I mean, it's kind of a. This is a hell of a book.
Yeah. This is a hell of a book. This is a hell of a book. I don't usually know if that translates to our episodes being good at all, but I guess if you're only judging them against each other, then maybe this will be a good episode.
Yeah, I mean, I like it when there's a lot going on in the books because then I feel like we have to do less work. You know, if the book was kind of boring, then we would have to be good to make up for that, pick up the
Right.
slack, so to speak.
And this book, number 18, The Decision, released in April 1998, certainly isn't boring.
Is this what we're doing now? You're giving the release date at the beginning of the
I
episode?
don't know. Sometimes it makes it feel official and like you know what you're getting into.
Okay.
I like a little
I'll buy it.
structure. I like
Sure.
a little structure.
You're a little, a structured guy.
Thanks.
Do you have any items of business before we start on this?
You know, I didn't, but I'm going to come up with something just in case we don't hit the 3-hour mark today.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you got something to think about.
No. I got one. Let me.
Oh,
I got
okay,
one.
okay, yeah.
No, I came up with it already.
Right.
This is
Yeah,
just a
do it.
little, and I'm sure we've talked about this already.
Mm-hmm.
But when by the time we get to the end of this podcast, I want to have, without any shadow of the doubt, exhausted any possible line of conversation you could possibly have about Animorphs.
Yeah, we'll never need to talk about it again.
I don't want anyone to be able to come up to us and say, "Why didn't you talk about this?" And I will be able to say, "No, we talked about that 8 times. This episode, and this episode, and this episode."
Yeah.
I want to make sure we have all our bases covered.
Agreed.
At every Seropedia page, which is a shit website, they say they'd say that the book is by Kay Applegate and Michael Grant, and as we know, that's Kay Applegate's husband who helped write these books. I'm just wondering, at what point were people made aware of the fact that he was a co-writer? Because her name is the only one on all of these books. So when was that made public knowledge, and why was it done this? Do you know why his name's not on the book covers? Like, did he just help out and she was like, "Yeah, I'll throw him a bone and tell him, yeah, he gave me a couple ideas," or
I have no idea, honestly. I mean, like, because as a kid reading these also, we're not that far away from when she starts moving into the ghostwriters, but as a kid, I was not aware of that either. Like, I didn't know, I didn't notice. So I really had no clue. I can't help but wonder if maybe Michael Grant's doing more of it now with these more recent books as well because of the fact that she had a kid. I don't know.
Yeah, and they also just started coming out much more rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to know what that writing process was. That info's got to be out there somewhere. Like, were they going back and forth on chapters, or did she just write the bulk of it and then he kind of went in and gave her notes? What was the relationship here? I need to know.
It's a good question. Like I said, I'm sure that information is out there if we cared to look.
We are not gonna look. But
speculate.
If you want to let us know, you can email us, theyerkyboys@gmail.com, and
we'll just open every episode by saying, "I don't know how this worked still."
Yeah. So if you don't want to hear us say that every week, you better just send it to us.
That makes sense. That's a good call to action right there.
Yeah. So that was my call to action. Your turn.
No, I don't. I don't have a call to action or any particular orders of business other than, just to say, it has been a while. I think since we've had a book that throws as much shit at you as this one does. This is a little bit more reminiscent of some of the earlier books where it's just like, how is there more stuff that's still happening in this book? I feel like the more recent books that they've been, a little bit more like a regular story.
Yeah, I will. This felt to me kind of like a mini Andalite Chronicles.
Mhm.
I
I would
felt
agree
like
with that.
that level of it felt like a similar scale to that and amount of ideas as that book, only compressed into a smaller format.
Yeah, I mean the book is dense, right? It is kind of amazing how much gets done in these pages.
Yeah, it feels long. It felt long to me.
It does. It does feel long, and trying to divide it out into an outline also made it feel longer, even though it's I
Actually, it
think
is a
about the same
little.
number of pages.
No, it's 168 pages. That
Okay,
is
so
longer than the average
eh,
book.
adds like maybe 10 pages on, but
Well, I feel like it's usually like 150 is like the average, more or less. That's like 20 pages. That's not nothing.
I thought it was more like mid fit, whatever. But yeah, it is longer, I guess, a little bit. It
It's
feels way
it's
longer.
pretty long.
Now, you know what's not so pretty is
Or long. I got an answer.
these things.
Mhm.
I'm trying to do a transition over here.
Go for it. Go for
Well,
it.
I was gonna say some of these things on the cover.
Yeah. Yeah, the cover here.
This cover. Now, imagine for a moment that you are a child or maybe a parent and you've never heard of this series or like maybe you vaguely heard of it but you don't really know anything about it, and this is the latest book, so you go back to the kids section and this is the book that's like on display, the newest Animorphs book, and you see this cover with Axe the Andalite. What the hell is this thing? And he is turning into a mosquito with, of course, the three in between forms. Um, an Andalite looks insane. A mosquito is a weird ass thing. So, for those of you who can't see this at home, just imagine the in between stages on this.
I don't know if you can.
I don't know that you can.
I mean, it begins with him sprouting the mosquito whatever, I don't know what you even call that. The sucker.
Mouth part.
Yeah, like just protruding from his face. It's the probably the most unsettling cover we've seen so far.
Hmm.
It it's really frightening. His eyes get redder, so it looks like he's really high or something. Like his eyes are very red. His face eyes, I should specify, not his stock eyes.
Yeah.
And then the third transition, at that point, to me, it kind of looks like a racist Chinese caricature.
I can see it. I see
It
what
looks
you're
like he's
saying
got
now.
a Fu Manchu thing going on.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it.
Uh, yeah.
And his legs are like coming up, so now his I guess there is the advantage that Andalites start with 2 arms and 4 legs, so they already have 6 limbs here. But they're all kind of moving up. They're oriented more like bug limbs, except that they have hooves. I don't. It's weird.
Don't forget his 7 fingers.
Right, his 7 fingers on the ones that are not hoofed.
I had Can I go on a tangent here?
Yeah, go on a tangent.
So one time I wrote a radio play.
Hmm.
This is why would anyone listen to this podcast?
No, I want to hear about your radio play.
So this was an idea for a podcast I had like a decade ago that we never ended up making, and every week was going to be a scripted radio show, like a completely different genre, not serialized. I thought
Hmm.
some of it was very funny. We recorded some of them and never they were bad and they never got aired. Anyway, one of them was a Western, and I had a character named Seven Fingered Bill, which made me think of Axe because he has 7 fingers.
Now, did 7 fingered Bill have 7 fingers on each hand or 7 fingers total?
Well, that's what one of the things I was very proud of was the joke. It's one of my favorite jokes I ever wrote that no one heard. Was there's a part where they're all like they're asking, they're like, I don't get it, like fingers. And he's like, no, I just got the five. And they're like, then why do they call you Seven Fingered Bill? And he's like, that's a story for another day. And I think the implication was that 7 people fingered him. So anyway,
I need to. I would need the context because the way you told that story, I did
yeah, no,
not see that implication.
it was a thinker. Like it
It's got
wasn't.
to be on the setup somehow.
Yeah, no, it was. You had to. It was like probably your second or third listen. You'd start to wonder about that, and then it would click.
I don't know that it would have.
No, maybe I'm not telling it right, but trust me, you would have got it. It was in the inflection. Okay. It was in the voice acting.
Okay, it's a pretty good joke. Best joke you ever wrote, though, huh?
No, it's one of my favorites. One of my favorites.
Okay,
I had another one. Can I tell you another one?
Yeah. Tell me another one.
This is it, and then real quick, just because it's similar, there was another one where this guy says, "This is my daughter Virginia, and her twin sister West Virginia." I thought that was really funny. The idea that he would name his daughters Virginia and West Virginia.
You're a funny guy.
All right. So anyway, his 7 fingers just made me think about that. That's all.
Yeah, I'm glad this is the book because there were a lot of times we've seen 7-fingered Andalites. You could have been reminded of that on, but this is the book we have a lot to talk about, so it's really good that this is the one.
I think we're gonna get through. I think we're gonna get through most of it pretty quick. I had to, the book cover is so horrific that I have to think about happier times to take my mind off it.
That's reasonable. What about the inner cover where we see him as a mosquito on this hand? They really went all in on the like old guy skin modeled detail here.
It is one of the worst hands I've ever seen.
It's very hairy.
I don't like it. Yeah, and look, I have hair on my hands, but that hair is unpleasant. I don't like it. There's something about it that makes his nails look kind of dirty. I don't know. I don't like this hand.
Yeah, so this is, if you were to get like a print to hang up on your wall of one of the inner covers, this would be your least favorite one.
That's psychopath behavior if you have this on your wall. Dear God.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty gross.
They should sell all of these as prints. They would make a killing.
Yeah, there's one in particular, though, that would just be the only one that ever sells. We'll get to it. You'll know when you see it.
Okay. Is it a sexy one?
It's the only one that beats the alternate lobster inner cover for sheer insanity.
Oh man! All right, wow, that's pretty good.
I do love that lobster one. Now these quotes here. On the outside, we've got change a little, change a lot, just change. I don't really know what that's about.
Yeah, I mean, like it's important to change. You just shouldn't stay the same,
I guess. Now, on the inside here, I think they listened to you. Last week, you were saying they should do something like Rachel's feeling a little batty or something.
Yeah.
Now, on this one, it says Axe is about to bug out.
Yeah, no, this is one of the best ones they've done. It's like, yeah, he is. There's nothing. It's a pun and it's true.
Mm-hmm.
They nailed it.
He's bugging out. There he is on the cover, bugging out. Here he is. Both of these, outer and inner, bugging out.
And even the front cover, I mean, it's clunky, but it's like, all right, it's about change. I'm okay with it. This is an improvement.
I do think it's an improvement. I don't have any opinions on this outer one, but I think that makes it better than average.
That's right. It's just too much. Like the 3 sentences is too much for your cover quote.
That's true. But it's kind of nice because they're on like different lines. There's line breaks, so you get a little rectangle of text. It's okay.
I think I would have also swapped. I think I would have put change a lot first. Change a lot. Change a little. Just change.
Yeah, I think that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Just in a vacuum, it doesn't really make that
All
much
right.
sense either way. So this book opens up on a little bit of a teaser when Axe is doing his intro. It doesn't leap right into the action. He opens up by kind of saying some things that are going to happen in this book. He says that they're going to rewrite the science of zero space mass extrusion during morphing. He also references the Ascalon incident on the planet Lyra that only the Animorphs know about or know what truly happened. They're the only survivors. And he also mentions Andalite traders. So before we even jump into it, he has sort of teased some crazy shit.
Yeah.
Um, I gotta say, I kind of wish they hadn't, because how much more insane would this book be if a third of the way through it just goes and you don't even know it's about to happen?
Yeah, I don't. Do you think they did that purposely to be like, we have to prepare readers for what's coming?
Yeah.
We can't just spring this on them. They won't be able to take it all in.
Yeah, we had the Elemist intro book and we decided we can't do that again.
I mean, it is still, you open this book right up, and that phrase "zero space mass extrusion" is just
Yeah.
like, okay, we're in
Yeah.
for some shit. And then the fact that there's traders, this felt a little bit like, if you're an Animorphs fan, you're reading this, you're popping off, you're cheering, you're clapping in the
Hmm.
audience. You're like, oh, Planet Lyra, yeah, Planet Lyra, yeah.
Yeah. I
This
know
is
I know about Lyra. You might have even remembered what enough to figure out what zero space mass extrusion was.
yeah. Well, the part I have trouble with there is extrusion, so the rest of it is fine.
Yeah, you just have to link that to what Axe was saying earlier, but
Yeah, and then
uh
the Ascalon incident, you're just like, what the? That sounds like some Ciro's kindness shit. Like this is what the fuck's happening here?
yeah, yeah. Good stuff, good stuff. But leaping into the action here,
Hmm.
we open on a slightly more down to earth scene, and I'm gonna give the full play by
Literally.
play on this because it's very important what happens here.
Okay.
Axe goes to the mall by himself to try to get some cinnamon buns. Um, so he knows he needs money for the buns. So he goes to the Cinnabon stand and he asks to perform labor for money so that he may exchange it for delicious cinnamon buns. The manager says she can't give him a job because he's too young, but maybe he could clear some tables and she could give him some food. She seems to think he's like homeless or mentally ill or something. So Axe starts going around eating all the leftover food and napkins and condiments and such when he sees some people about to eat a cinnamon bun that they have bought. He is, of course, clearing the table, so he takes the buns from them and starts eating them. The manager stops him and pulls him aside and is like, listen, kid, if you're really that desperate, right, you can have like one of these stale buns over here on this tray of stale buns, at which point Axe scarfs the entire tray as fast as possible and he hurts himself, and paramedics get called, and there is a big scene that he causes. This is a great scene. Right, it could have just been like Axe causes a scene eating cinnamon buns, but I feel like we really need to drill down on this one.
Yeah, I love Axe. Axe is a lot of
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
This does feel like kind of the idealized version. Like we've seen Axe
Hmm.
loving cinnamon buns before, but I feel like this is kind of, if you're a longtime Animorphs fan, this is sort of the thing you remember about Axe loving cinnamon buns. And I feel like some of the earlier stuff was like, okay, yeah, like we get it. He's into the cinnamon buns, but it didn't feel maybe as fleshed out as this. This feels like fully formed peak cinnamon bun Axe.
Yeah, I feel like if you are trying to remember, yeah, remember that time Axe ate the cinnamon buns? You probably won't remember exactly what time that was, but it'll have been this time. This is what's come into your head.
Yeah, like he ate them before, and I was like, I get it. It's like cinnamon
Yeah.
buns, but here it's like, okay, now Kay Applegate knows this is a thing. Like this is his
Yeah.
thing now. It's not just a one off.
Yeah. And this, it's fun being back in an Andalite perspective, because
Yeah.
it does feel like, obviously in Megamorph felt like she had no idea. Uh like there wasn't much to it. And in the Alien we got some decent, Axe perspective. In the Andalite Chronicles, it felt like she had a more fleshed out idea of like, okay, this is what an Andalite perspective looks like, but it was Elfangor, it wasn't Axe.
Hmm.
There's a lot of ways in which he talks and describes things that are, very like specifically alien and sort of aimed at an alien audience. Um, that I really like. I really like the dumb ways that she does things here. Um,
Yeah, like him describing everyone's legs and
yes,
sitting down or whatever.
yes, I like when he tries to describe what sitting is. He says, it involves bending the two legs and resting the weight of the body on a raised platform by pressing the fatty pads at the top of the legs against the platform. It's hard to visualize unless you've seen it.
But don't Andalites do sit down, can't they?
I,
Like a horse can sit, or does I guess it just lies. I guess it
yeah, it
doesn't
just like,
sit.
yeah, they'd like
That's
lie
not
down.
that different from sitting.
Well, but they
I
don't
don't
really
know.
rest like on a platform
The ground.
because you've got your like legs buckled under you. You're not like resting on your butt.
I guess. There's also my favorite line, I think, in the whole book is when Axe says, "They were going to eat my buns."
That's a pretty good line. I like when he's says, "I'm very good at passing for human, if I say
Yeah.
so myself."
Yeah, that all that stuff is very, I mean, this scene is very funny. And I mean, when they're like, here, have a cinnamon bun,
Yeah.
have one. He's like, one mouthful, one bun, one tray. It's not my fault if there's confusion about this. I just
Yeah.
eat. They didn't specify the unit.
Yeah. Now that's a good. I'm going to be thinking about that the next time I gorge myself on Taco Bell or something. It's just
Have
one.
one.
One taco, one combo box.
One bag, one store.
That's
Yeah.
right. Now he also refers to Cinnabon here as my very favorite eating place.
Yeah, what I also at no point, I don't know if maybe later in the book they say it. I think they do, but in this point, Axe never calls it Cinnabon. He just says
Yeah.
the cinnamon bun place I go to.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to know that it's called a Cinnabon here. Yeah, they do call it that later. I think Marco says that
Yeah.
Marco's like, I was at the mall looking to get a taco and I saw paramedics at the Cinnabon and I knew. I just knew.
We do get another indication that everybody agrees Axe's human morph is super fuckable.
Yeah. I don't know that I appreciated that here.
Yeah, the Cinnabon worker says he's a good looking boy.
Yeah, I don't really like the manager being like, yeah, this underage kid, he's a good-looking boy. It's like, really though? Really?
In
Must we?
1998, 16, he probably looks about 16. 16 might be legal age. I don't know what the
I
laws were
just
back then.
I just don't know.
And we don't know how old this worker is. Maybe they're a teenager too.
I mean, I'm pretty sure this was the manager actually who said it.
Well, like you could back then you could move up quick up the
This is
ladder.
the Jerry Seinfeld manager here.
Yeah. Oh, we'll get back to Jerry Seinfeld later.
Okay, good.
I just also wanted to say, at one point he's talking about Tobias and says he is a hawk and has no lips.
Yeah, that's pretty
That
good.
just made me think Tobias has no lips and he must hawk. Something like, I don't know. There's something.
Sear!
And he must sear. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I noticed in this section that Axe eats a reddish semi-liquid product smeared inside a square of crumpled paper. Now this is presumably ketchup in a napkin, I would think.
Oh, I was
He
thinking out of a ketchup packet.
it could be out of a, but you would think it was ketchup, right?
Yeah.
Now he describes this as fine but not wonderful. Now Axe likes cigarette butts. It feels to me like Kay Applegate is not a ketchup fan. Like this is a
Mm,
snide kind of dig at like, oh, those people who put ketchup on their hot dogs or whatever.
ketchup slander. Fuck that. Ketchup is good.
I like ketchup too. I'm a ketchup
Good.
fan.
Good. Pro ketchup on this. If you don't like ketchup, fuck off. Stop listening.
Yeah.
I'm tired of this shit. Ketchup is for baby. Fuck off. It fucking tastes good. Put it on your fucking French fries and shut the fuck up.
He's right.
Sick of this shit. Oh, I'm
Ketchup and
so much better than you because I eat mustard. What are you? That's what you're basing your superiority on? Is your choice the color of fucking sauce you put on your meat? What the fuck is wrong with you?
You're right.
And Heinz is better than all the fuck off with the organic and the no corn syrup. No, there needs to be fucking corn syrup. That's what makes it taste good. End of story. Full stop.
He's right. I back you 100% on this.
And this brings me back to Jerry Seinfeld.
Okay.
Because I just wanted to say, it seems like Axe needs to take his observational comedy about humans on the road. He's got a lot of funny observations about humans that I think he could, like, he's talking about, I mean, I guess we're going to get to this in a second, but he's talking about how humans are always looking at the time.
Oh yeah. What's the deal with humans and watches?
You ever notice? It's never just on time. It's always a little too early or a little too late. I mean, I don't know if I guess there's not really Andalite comedians, but I think he could really break that market wide open.
That's true. That does read like a Jerry Seinfeld joke, doesn't it?
And to stay on the topic of Seinfeld,
Mm-hmm. You have a lot to say today.
I just, it all is coming really fast, one after another, and I didn't realize it was all right here, but it is. I'll just say there's a character coming up who I felt like I was in the audience during season 4 when Kramer burst through the door. I was getting up out of my chair and applauding. I was so excited to see him.
Was this Eric the Chi?
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Because Eric the Chi has information for them. So they all get together to meet up with him in the forest outside Cassie's property where Axe lives. So Eric has found out that the second ranking guy in the Secret Service, I don't quite know what that means, but the second ranking guy, Hewitt Aldershot III, he is in a nearby hospital in a coma. Nobody knows he's there, not even his bosses or family or anything. And the hospital he's in has been infiltrated by Yerks. And he also knows that the reason he's in a coma is he got hit by a car, and that car was being driven by Chapman. So there's some kind of Yerk plot to get this second-ranking Secret Service guy in the hospital that they know about.
Yeah.
Good old Eric coming in to kick off the plot again.
And then to fuck right off back to his house and do nothing.
That sure is what he does.
Yeah, I also was taken aback by the phrase second ranking guy.
Right. Now, the first ranking person in the Secret Service is named Jane Carnegie, we find out. Now, I don't... I mean, do they have Vissers in the Secret Service, too? Is this guy Visser, too? Secret Service Visser?
Is that... who, Jane Carnegie?
I'm just thinking, like, the Yerks, instead of just having, like, a top class of general or something called Visser, they've got Visser 1, 2, 3. Maybe the Secret Service guys just all have a number, too.
So, like, there's a, like, Hewlett Aldershot 2, Hewlett Aldershot
Well,
1.
Hewitt Aldershot III is Secret Service, too.
Are you saying, is there... What,
I don't know what I'm saying.
Spell his name.
Am I saying it right?
I want to make sure I have I don't have a typo here. Just tell me what.
Maybe I typoed it. I wrote down Hewett, but maybe I wrote it wrong.
I thought there was an L. I thought it was like Hewlett Packard.
Perhaps. Let me. Oh, you know what? There is an L. I fucked it up. I just
Okay.
didn't write it down right.
You're making me think I'm crazy over here.
No, you're right. Hewlett Aldershot the Third.
Okay, good. I'm glad we settled this. I also, yeah, I don't. They specifically mention his boss, Jane Carnegie,
Yes.
which is a weird name and person to talk about when they never actually come up again in the entire book. I
Yeah.
mean, kind of they do. They allude to they're maybe try the Yerks are trying to get to, I guess, Jane Carnegie, but you think that's going to be important, but I don't. It doesn't seem like they had to tell you that name.
Yeah. They could have just been like, this guy is in the Secret Service. Like, this whole power structure thing doesn't seem to matter in any way.
It's very
Like,
specific.
he's got access to the president either way.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I did like when Tobias bitch slaps Eric.
Yeah, that's good.
Eric's like, oh, he'll never spot my chi. They're hiding. They're in perfect disguise. And Tobias is like, oh, yeah, those motherfuckers. Yeah, they didn't fool me for a second.
Yeah, yeah. Tobias is like, I know all these, but you can't just put a tree and a rock where they're not supposed to be and think I won't notice that. It's good.
Tobias's life is so boring. He's just memorized where rocks are. But presumably, if he goes anywhere outside of his like 5 mile radius of his home, then he has no fucking idea.
Yeah, although he does spend all his time mapping out the city for Yorkpool entrances, so he probably knows like
Mm.
the actual downtown area pretty well too.
Yeah, that's probably true. He probably has a good lay of the land there.
Yeah. Now this is the second time we've done an important guy in the hospital plot,
True.
right? Like it was book 6 we had some guy who was like the governor or whoever was in the hospital and the Yerks were going to infest him in a hospital. So is this the Yerks? Do you think maybe this is because I always complain, why don't they just try it again? Do you think this is them kind of trying it again?
Well, it sounds. I mean, yeah. Presumably, they just have Yerk run hospitals. Like they didn't really put a stop to that. So that's still a terrifying thing. That's having an effect on a daily basis.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it felt. I don't. I
Some,
felt like at some point there was an implication that they stopped that plan, but I maybe they just didn't.
I mean, they destroyed the Yerk pool in there, but it wasn't like they didn't like systematically double check every doctor to see if they're a controller. Like the Yerks can
Yeah.
easily just go. Yeah, they're just out there doing it. There's guy out there's this proctologist as a fucking Yerk. That's just how it is.
You're thinking Yerk's entering in through the wrong end here? Is that what you're going for?
I was absolutely would never suggest something
Uh,
so base.
well, I thought of it.
Well, that's you.
Well, at any rate, this hospital seems
But
to
it
be
does seem
infiltrated.
this seems like I feel like the hospital is A, horrific, the concept of this, and B, it just seems like that's game over already. Like it's so easy to get every doctor with a patient alone. It feels like you're going to have anyone who comes into a hospital is infested by Tuesday. I
Yeah, I
don't know
mean,
how
good
they
thing
haven't
this is the
lost.
United States and nobody can afford medical
Right.
care.
That's the one thing. That's why I don't go to the doctor
Right.
or the dentist. I'm yeah, just in
Don't
case.
go to the dentist, by the way. This is an anti-dentist podcast.
100%. Fuck
Yeah.
dentists.
Yeah.
If I was in a room with Visser 3 and a dentist and a gun with 5 bullets, I don't remember how it goes, but I would shoot the dentist.
Right. Right. Dentistry is a scam. Um
Any dentist listening, kill yourself. All right, next.
All right, next. So
Oh,
they go
but I don't want to make light of suicide. If you have suicidal thoughts, call the hotline.
unless
Next,
you're a dentist.
unless you're a
They
dentist.
go and do surveillance on this hospital as birds. Visser 3 shows up. They see him through the window. He starts chewing out all the doctors. He's like yelling in open thought speech, I guess, and they hear him. He
Yeah,
is pissed because they can't get Aldershot out of the coma. He was hoping to infest Aldershot, but he's in a coma and he can't do it. Um, as he's yelling, he sees the birds out the window, the Animorphs, and he morphs into a Caffet bird, which I don't know if you remember those from the Andalite homeworld.
Everyone, of course we remember those.
Okay, good. And he smashes through the window and chases him around trying to kill him. There's like a big flying chase scene that ends with Axe and Visser 3 demorphing on top of a McDonald's, and they have like a about to have a tail fight standoff, but before they can fight or the other Animorphs show up, Visser 3 jumps off the roof to escape. Little
Yeah.
action sequence.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a big. You're getting a Visser 3 face off right at the
Yeah.
start.
Yeah, it is. It is fun to get one right at the start here. Um, we'll talk more about this Caffet bird and what it means, but it does kind of screw me out of seeing a different wacky monster morph. Like this
Hmm.
particular one. I've seen Caffet birds before.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But well, maybe some people hadn't read Andalite Chronicles, so
Yeah.
for them this is for me. This was another Kramer. I was
Mm,
clapping in my seat. I was having a good
yeah,
time.
that's fair. Yeah,
This is
you
I call
got
it
the
the Kramer bird.
Caffet, the Kramer bird. Um, there seems to be like Axe is like freaked out because the Caffet bird is native to the Andalite homeworld, right? So there's like this whole how
Yeah.
did he get the Caffet bird?
Yes.
Um
I'm ready for this. Go on.
you are of course ready for this. Like it really feels like cuz they discuss this a lot in the book. And not one of the Animorphs considers that this is like a standard morph that Andalites just grab for fun and that Alaran, might have just had this morph, right?
Yes.
Like Axe knows that this is what like all the Arists or whatever just kind of get this thing for fun. Uh, like why would you think he wouldn't have it? And none of the Animorphs say, well, maybe Alaran already had the morph. It just doesn't come up that that's a possibility. Now, I do think there is reasonable like cause to think that he didn't have it in the Andalite Chronicles. As a reader. But none of the characters know that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it seemed like it was established in Andalite Chronicles that Kafit is like the first morph every Andalite learns.
No, no, no. It's the Jabala that they all learn, but the Kefid
Oh,
is what they like
what the fuck's a
most.
Jabal? I don't remember that.
Some kind of like small animal, furry animal of some
But
kind.
it seemed like this is not a this is a pretty common.
Yeah, yeah. This is like everybody always does that one because they have to, and then most people go do this bird because it's fun to fly and this is the best bird, or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's very bizarre that no one assumes that right. Well, Alaran, because he would have access to Alaran's morphs.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So it's weird.
It
he
just
turns out
yeah.
he turns out to be right about it, I guess.
I guess.
Well, we don't actually find
Yeah, we
out. I
don't
mean,
know for sure.
I think it's just a coincidence. I think he does just have this bird because Alaran had it.
That could be like I said in the Andalite Chronicles. Like we never see Alaran flying around, even though Elfangor does. The morphing tech is still fairly new, so he wouldn't have been like a cadet going. Like he already would have been his like hardcore, prince or war prince self by the time it came around. So maybe he wasn't flying around having fun. It's not crazy to think that he doesn't have this, but
Yeah,
I
so
you know
it's a
we
strange
don't know.
oversight. It doesn't even feel like she must have thought about this.
Hmm.
I don't know what the or is it just she kind of forgot how morphing works, or she's just like they're kids, no one will notice. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or
Or
it's
like
you
if we
could
just
just or you're supposed to think just Axe is just he's just a little dumb. He just doesn't
yeah.
know.
Or if we just have all the characters say this and none of them acknowledge it, then you'll just be like, "Oh, I was thinking that, but that's probably not right because otherwise one of the characters would have thought it."
Yeah, which that has definitely happened before with similar things where it's just like none of them thought to just say this.
Yeah.
None of them said, "Can he just demorph and the poison leaves his body?" Uh, when it feels like the to me the right decision, TM, is to say have one character suggest it and then someone else go, no, here's why that's unlikely or something. You want to say
Yeah.
the thing the reader's thinking, because otherwise they're like, why aren't these assholes saying the thing I'm thinking?
Yeah,
Anyway,
no, because like that stuff about Alaran was already old and he wouldn't like the axe could have said that. I don't know. Um, but
yeah.
there does seem to be this presumption that Visser 3 has done this to send a message to them to be like, I got your bird, I'm coming after you.
Yeah, it's a cool action scene. It's a little scary, and I did like that. We're this close to Visser 3 just getting taken out on top of a McDonald's.
Yeah. It's funny that Visser 3 runs away. Like it feels Visser 3 is definitely scared of Andalites, right? Like
Hmm.
I know he didn't want to fight Elfangor because Elfangor was like a great warrior, and like maybe it's like, well, Axe is Elfangor's, but it really does feel like it's just like, oh shit, I have to get into an actual tail fight with an Andalite. I better run away.
I think he's a lot like Aku giving himself
Hmm.
therapy in Samurai Jack.
Yeah.
I think Visser 3 has a therapist who's like, now tell me again about the Andalites you keep seeing.
Yeah, that's right.
He's
He's
got
this is
complex.
why he needs his giant overcompensating monsters.
Right. Although I would think he's like pretty good. I feel like Visser 3 and his Andalite body could take out Axe, but I
Yeah,
don't
he
know.
should. I would think so, but he doesn't want to. It
I guess
seems
he
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 wants to. He's
does know the other. He thinks that there's 5 more Andalites also
yeah,
around him, so
yeah,
maybe he just thinks he's outnumbered.
yeah. He only likes to fight when he knows he can win 100%. He doesn't want risk.
Yeah, yeah. That's why all his plans are so foolproof.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Speaking of Visser 3 and his plans, he's sure not being stealthy here. Like they say, the Yerks have infiltrated the hospital, but like there's no patients or doctors in the hospital that aren't Yerks or something. Because we find out later there are. He's over here just like screaming out in public thought speech about infesting this guy and blah blah blah.
Is he
And then
maybe only projecting to people who like he's thinking who can give thought? No, but that's only I don't know.
yeah, like we've already seen, like you can't just project to like only Rachel if she's here or something. Or I guess you can. No, you totally can because Marco will be like, "Hey, Rachel, are you there?" But he doesn't know where she is. This doesn't. Yeah, thought speech is very inconsistent.
Yeah. I keep forgetting that Yerks can't do it. Like you need to be an Andalite or a morph to do it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And the
So
morph seems to have to not be capable. I don't think Axe can do it in his human morph because I don't have we ever seen him do it in his
oh,
human morph?
I can't think
You'd
of him.
you'd think he should be able to, right?
It would make sense, but he's too busy having fun with mouth sounds. He doesn't want to.
did did Rachel and Tobias thought speak as Hork-Bajir?
They must have.
They must have. Yeah, I don't know how these rules work.
Thought speech. What is it? I
Yeah,
don't
fucking
know.
fucking thought speech. How does that work?
Yeah. So Visor 3 runs away
He runs
and
away.
yeah, I
And
mean it's exciting.
yeah, it's exciting. And Axe stews about his encounter because, once again, he's supposed to be killing him, but he's not he hasn't managed to do it. So he's running around in the rain that night, thinking about his chance and also thinking about this Caffet bird thing and what that means. He goes and sees Tobias. They have like a little conversation about it, although Tobias is kind of grumpy. Axe woke him up. Um the next day, all the Animorphs they meet up at the barn to plan out, moving forward with this. And Marco gets the idea that if they morphed Aldershot, they could walk into the Secret Service headquarters or whatever, and then just show off their morphing powers and prove that the invasion was happening. which is I guess similar to like steal the ship and land it on the White House lawn from Book 11. Um, but they do, at
Mhm.
least in this case, know that his boss is safe, right? They know because the Yerks were talking about potentially targeting Jane Carnegie too. So they know at least one person who's safe. And if they walked in as him and morphed into a rhino or whatever, they'd prove it. So they decide to do it, and they acquire mosquitoes to covertly get Aldershot's blood so that they can get his DNA without having to be in human morph in the hospital and blow their cover. I and I do not know how this works at all.
Okay.
I have no theories as to how that is intended to work.
Well, there's a lot. This is a lot. This is
Yeah.
a lot of things happening right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it gets bigger, but I still feel like what you've just described is kind of a lot.
Hmm.
I think let's take it
Yeah.
from the top. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Break it
So
down.
so first of all, we learn a little bit about Axe. Uh, as he's running in the rain, he mentions that he's going to be absorbing worms through his hooves,
Yes.
and this distresses him because extra protein keeps him up at night.
Yeah, good to know about Andalite physiology.
Protein is like caffeine for Andalites. And
Yeah,
also,
worms.
I'm confused because he's not literally like a worm isn't like getting sucked into his hoof,
Well, he's
right?
trampling it. The way, like, because he tramples the grass and when it crushes, he absorbs the nutrients. So, like, he's trampling the worms and they're squishing.
So what exactly is he absorbing? Just like the protein DNA strands, like
Yeah, when
the
it's mooshed up under his hooves enough, it can absorb into, like, through osmosis or something.
does this kill the worm?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I just don't understand how the hooves work. Also, it's gross.
It,
I
like,
don't like that.
absorbs through, like, a membrane or something.
He's not weirded out
Like
by
how cells
this.
eat or something.
Okay, sure,
I
but I
don't
guess
know.
I just don't understand like which parts of it. How is it determined what he's absorbing? Like he's not absorbing its blood or its. I
It's
don't.
mushed up. He's absorbing whatever can make its way through the hooves after he mushed it.
Like if you stuck a worm to his hoof, would it just the whole worm get sucked in eventually? I don't know. I just don't know what I'm picturing here.
Listen, I'm not what like maybe like it's well the worm is not intact, right? Like it's crushed up.
All
Whatever
right.
parts.
I mean, crushed up or not, he's. I'm just. Is he like? Is it like nutrients or somehow just being lifted out of it? Like,
Well,
like
some of the mass is going into him, right?
I
I
don't
don't know
know.
which parts he's absorbing and which parts he isn't. It could be all of it.
Like when he runs on grass, does the grass disappear into his hoof, or is he just like extracting the parts of the grass that are healthy?
Well, that would still be the grass disappearing, and I don't understand the question, I guess.
I don't
Like,
like.
what's the
Is
difference between the grass and like the nutrients in the grass? Like, they're
yeah,
both
I
part of the
don't
mass of the
know.
grass.
I don't know what the difference is. Like I don't know. It feels like there's a difference between like the like if like it's like saying are you if you ate an orange or if you just like extracted the vitamin C from the orange or something and left like a husk. I don't know. Does that even make sense?
Yeah, I mean, well, he's not like opening his hooves, right, to like take
Right.
in the physical thing. It like it's more like if I bit into an orange through the skin and then just sucked on it, right? What am I getting? You know what I mean? Like maybe I'm getting a bunch of the maybe I'm just getting the juice, maybe I'm getting some of the pulp. I don't know. It's whatever I can get in. Probably I'm not getting the whole fibrous structure of the right?
Yeah, I don't know.
That makes
Hoof
sense,
eating
right?
baffles me. I just do not understand how andalites work. I need a health class
You need an
on andalites.
exobiology class.
That's what I need. That's I'd get me um the other
Just
guy.
don't get distracted by a
Uh,
female
I will. Or if they
and
show me one of those
or a
charts where
drift ball.
the muscles are all split into parts.
Right.
That gets my engine
Right.
revving.
Right. Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, okay. So that we think we spent almost enough as much time as that deserved. That
Okay,
sentence.
good. Yeah.
um, I do. He also reminisces about having dinner with Cassie,
Hmm.
and like he was very, very happy at this time. And I just wonder if he absorbed some of the Jake DNA that makes him want to fuck her.
Mm. I mean,
I got the vibe that he's kind of romantically interested.
Tobias does want to fuck birds, or at least recognizes birds as fuckable. So, like, perhaps.
And
And it's
also,
we have like we know canonically that Andalites and humans can want to fuck each other without having to morph.
true, very true, absolutely true. I mean, it runs in his family.
It does.
um, also, just a general reminder this whole time that Axe is Tobias's uncle.
Right.
So that's just
Yes.
a fun thing
The
to
other way around,
remember.
but yes.
Wait, no, Tobias is Axe's
Or
uncle?
yeah, no, he is his uncle. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I just
Okay,
got it's
because
too confusing.
I thought about it before I wrote it down because I had to
Okay.
make sure. I was like, brother,
Yeah.
son.
Yeah, see
Yeah.
that you got it right because you thought about it, and I was like, no, it's the other way around, right? No.
Yeah. But anyway, that's that's fun. So that's a good relationship. I don't know. Anything else about that, or do you want to get into the
um,
actual
no,
plot that's
I
not the plot?
I like there's a couple things I had here that most of which aren't that important. Actually, we could probably skip them because they
Nah.
we have a lot to talk about. I do
No,
like
it'll be
when
fine.
Tobias says that Axe is crashing around like a herd of ruptured elephants. I don't
Yeah,
know
I
what
don't
to
know what
make of
that
that
means.
phrase.
That is this very weird phrase.
Yeah, that'll be our new. We'll say that too. There's a lot of stuff in this book. We'll just start saying.
I guess maybe he's seen Rachel get ruptured at one point.
Hmm. A lot of them have been ruptured at this point.
Yeah.
Jake got ruptured 2 books ago.
Ruptured. Doesn't sound like a word. Ruptured. Now, we need to then talk about this next thing, which is the fact that, like we said, the Kafit seems to indicate that Yerks are on the Andalite homeworld.
Hmm.
And sure seems to me like Axe is acting like this is the first he's heard of this. And yet, I seem to recall we learned about it in his previous book. Am
Yeah,
I wrong?
we
We
did
learned
learn
about
about it in his previous book. It does. I don't. Maybe he just didn't believe it in the last book. I don't. I don't know that he explicitly says I'd never. But yeah,
because
yeah, he
we
does.
make specific reference, like that conversation is referenced in this book, so it's not like they're forgetting that happened.
Right.
So yeah, that was a little weird. I didn't understand why he wasn't. Seems to not remember that we already had this plot twist. I guess it wasn't as concrete, like it was kind of more cryptic, but I don't know. Should have been in
Yeah.
his head somewhere.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how to read that, to be honest.
But now,
Whatever.
do you want to get to the logistics of the mosquito?
Yeah. Well, let's do like a little axisms and
Yeah.
characterisms, and then we can do what they're talking about. I like when Axe says that Marco and Rachel were chilling. He says he believes this term refers to the fact that when humans sit very still and do nothing, their body temperature drops, thus chilling.
Best explanation I've heard.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Oh, I also like they have their whole discussion about whether it's ethical to morph this guy. Which I mean, at this point, this kind of feels like they always bring it up for like a paragraph just so that you don't forget that Cassie's annoying about it. But then they never really explore it. So I was like, all right, whatever, we're gonna do it. Who cares? Um, Marco has a pretty good line where once again we're getting into some ableism, but this time it's legitimately very funny, I think. Where he refers to Aldershot and being in a coma. He says He's a vegetable. He's a carrot. He's a cabbage. He's a tomato. The man is a Brussels sprout.
Yeah. He's got that's it's pretty good.
Yeah. Kind of a
Oh,
running theme here.
but Cassie does call him out, and she says,
Yeah.
"Thanks so much for your sensitivity, Marco." So
Yeah.
you're allowed to make those insensitive jokes as long as someone else then like hits that character. That's the rule of comedy.
Right, right. It feels more genuine, this book. It does feel like that's an actual opinion that someone holds, unlike last book where they just were like, nah, now.
Yeah. Marco also has a lot of good zingers about Hewlett Aldershot's name.
Yes, yes, he does.
How stupid his name is, which I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah, there's some good shots in here too about morphing mosquitoes because they're saying only the females drink blood. So how do you tell the difference between males and females? Marco says males think loud belching is funny and the females don't. Um, at one point, Cassie says the males are useless, and Rachel goes, "Amen." That is good stuff.
Yeah. Or does she say amen?
I don't know.
Should say a women.
That's feminism.
That's feminism, folks. Good night, everybody.
Yeah, that's the end of our podcast. We're done now.
Now, one thing I never thought would happen in an Animorphs book. I never thought they would reference HIV.
That's a weird thing for you to think, considering how much shit they do end up referencing from the real world.
I guess it just seemed like that's not that wouldn't come into play. I don't know, or hepatitis for that matter.
No, HIV is coming in.
Yeah, because they're gonna use the mosquitoes to get this guy's blood.
Yeah, let's talk about this.
Yeah, and Rachel's like, "Oh, I don't want to get HIV." But then, Axe says diseases can't be transmitted during acquiring. Okay. So
Yeah,
we know for a fact you cannot acquire in a morph.
right.
Apparently, you can acquire DNA just from blood. That's what they're saying. Yeah. So I'm also now thinking like, so anytime they're in a fight and they have like Hork-Bajir blood splattered on them, can they be acquiring that?
Yeah, it feels like this is a good plan. Like they should be able to go somewhere where something has been injured and not, after the fact. It feels safer. Or like, can they go into Cassie's mom's like medical clinic in the gardens and like acquire some blood samples and not have to go in the cages?
Yeah, plenty of options there.
But one way or another, they're getting this blood as mosquitoes, and then what? Like,
Yeah.
If they morph back, either the blood goes away or it's still in their system, depending on how we say morphing works today. But then the blood is like in their bodies somewhere. Like, can you? But like, is it actually? Because like, I don't think it goes to the mosquitoes. Like, I don't know is it analogous to a stomach, or does it maybe end up in their spleen? Like where is and like is that a like what? I don't understand this. Or or do they plan to swat one of them to like smear the blood all over, and then they demorph before they die, and then they can all touch the smear?
I don't want to draw that short straw.
I
My presumption, if I can, is that a presumption?
Yeah,
there's an assumption. Is there a presumption? There's a presumption.
Yeah, presume. Go ahead.
Was, and it doesn't matter because they never get this far. Was I thought maybe, and I don't know if a mosquito can do this, but maybe they treat the mosquito like a syringe and they just kind of hold the blood like in their beak thing And then once they get back somewhere, someone else like holds a syringe or like a test tube up and the mosquito deposits it in there and then they demorph and touch the blood. But it just raises so many. Why can you acquire a morph with just the blood? That doesn't seem like it should work. It's like, can the blood be old? Like it doesn't have to be fresh blood. I
As
don't.
long as it's based on DNA, then that works. But if morphing is purely based on DNA, it also doesn't really make sense. There's a lot of stuff here that just I don't really know.
It's Andalite technology. We don't we don't understand it.
I'm going to give a little bit of a spoiler. None of these logistical questions are answered because none of them end up mattering this book. Like at all. It's like this isn't the story that she was trying to write at all. And she just needed a reason to put him in a small morph and wanted it to be a new one, I guess. Couldn't be a fly. They could have just been flies, right? Anyway.
I also am confused about why she's like, we can't all morph the same mosquito. Why?
Well, no, I think they explain that because she doesn't know. Like they're saying, only the females drink blood, but they don't know how to tell the difference between a male and female mosquito. So they need to make sure at least one of them's a female. Although I'm pretty sure males are like way bigger than females, and you can just tell, and it's easy.
Yeah, this feels like you can AOL search the differences and figure it out.
Keyword mosquito.
Yeah, remember that game Mr. Mosquito?
Not really.
There's like a weird game during like the PS1 or PS2 era. It's of course the Japanese game where you play as a mosquito and your goal is to go around and suck blood from people. And I think it had like a weirdly pseudo-sexual tone to it.
That sounds really good.
Yeah, we
I
should
like
play
that
it.
a lot. Now I'm thinking of my own little reference. Did you ever read the book Incognito Mosquito?
No.
It's like a little kid's book that was it's like one of these like short mystery things, like a series of short like several page stories, and they're all like, ooh, there's a mystery to solve, an incognito mosquito always solves it, and then it's like, what did he think? Turn to the back to figure out how he knew or something, and there'd be clues in the story. But the point is that all the characters were
Wow.
bugs, and it would be filled with bug puns and jokes.
Sounds great.
It was really good. I think you would like it.
I like a mystery.
Yeah, it is. It's a mystery, all right.
Okay. So we don't understand the logistics of this, but it's fine. They're just they half the time they don't know what their plan's going to be anyway. They're just winging it.
Yeah, winging.
Yeah.
But I do really have a feeling that if this ended up mattering, they would have drank his blood and then come back and then been like, "Oh wait, oops, I didn't think that far ahead."
Whoopsie. Yeah.
They don't know.
That's weird.
They go back to the hospital, and now there's like shitloads of armed guards around the guy, right? Because they already knew the Animorphs were there. So they figure Axe will make a distraction while they like slip in and get his blood. So Axe demorphs and starts going around the hospital as an Andalite, causes a lot of like panic and chaos until as all the normal doctors are like, what's that? Until the controllers see him and they like surround him with guards with Dracon beams. There's like a big action scene. Axe pretends he wants to surrender and defect in order to distract them. There's some fighting. He jumps out the window while being shot at. And after all this craziness, Axe morphs a mosquito to avoid the gunfire and goes in to join the others and suck Aldershot's blood. There's a couple of good scenes in here.
These Yerks are really stupid.
Yes, that's true.
Visser 3 should kill them. He's justified.
Yeah, I do think every Yerk at this hospital deserves to be killed for incompetence.
Axe gets through this by saying, wait, yeah, I'm an Andalite, but I want to join you. I want to be a Yerk now. And they're like, oh, okay. Come into this room with just 2 or 3 of us alone and we'll talk. And then they're like, "So you want to join?" He's like, "Psych."
Yeah. Now,
Gotcha.
now I really like when he jumps out the window to run away from them and he goes, "Here's a trick I learned from Visser 3." Now that's a good one-liner, right? I like that.
Yeah, it's pretty good that he throws that out there. Yeah. Mr.
Um
3, you cowardly fuck.
Now, how do you feel when we see some of the hospital workers, not controllers, when they see X, they're like, "Oh, all right, Terry, you can come out now, haha, big laugh." This Terry guy sounds really funny, and I'm wondering if maybe Terry of Juan and Terry fame is working like a summer internship or something at this hospital. You think
Holy
it's the same
shit.
Terry?
Oh my god. How did I not pick up on this? It was staring me right in the face.
I
You're
know.
100% right.
I mean, it's not summer. They are canonically in school during this time, but maybe
He could be doing maybe his dad's a doctor. Maybe
could
Dominic
be.
is a doctor and he's helping
Mm.
out at the hospital.
Yeah, I do think that they made a big point in the books earlier of saying how funny Terry was, how cool and funny and awesome.
Yeah, one of them
He's a
was
prankster.
skinny was their trait.
That's probably right.
That was like, and I don't, yeah, maybe the other one was funny. I don't know.
I think the other, I think one of them was skinny. That's the only trait I remember.
Yeah, I remember that because he was like, oh, a skinny kid playing basketball. It's like, I don't know. Doesn't seem that weird to me, but
Yeah,
okay. I and then they do start morphing into the mosquitos.
they do.
And it occurred to me, he immediately starts talking about how he's got this thirst for blood. And this made me think, I guess every animal they ever morph into is just immediately hungry. Because
I
you
know I
don't,
am.
they're not, they're not fed. You wouldn't morph anything they'd have eaten. So they're always on an empty stomach. And also, I guess when they morph back too, well, unless you ate a fly, then it stays in your body for something. I don't know.
Now, I am under the impression, I have not looked at this in a long time, so my facts could be wrong, but I'm under the impression that mosquitoes do not eat blood.
Hmm.
That the females suck blood specifically because the warmth helps them like incubate eggs. And
That is
that's why the
so
males do
fucking
not drink blood.
disgusting.
I might be wrong about that.
Mosquitoes are just fucking horrors. You don't need, like, xenomorphs are just bugs. It's all the most horrible things you can imagine are insects. There's nothing more frightening than these pieces of shit.
Yeah, Axe makes a point in this book to be like mosquitoes are the biggest mass murderers on the planet because they
Yeah,
spread all those diseases and shit.
yeah, malaria. They didn't
Yeah.
have Zika yet, or did they?
I don't know. I don't know when
uh,
Zika happened.
they also get more palps. You get palps was a thing from
Oh,
some
right,
other
yeah.
something else had palps. I forget what.
Spiders had pedipalps.
Right,
Those were like
right.
the half palp, half foot. That's why
Is
they're
that
pedi.
that's not what these are? These are just palps.
These are just palps.
Huh. Not as good. Guess I'm more of a pedipalp guy.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. So I mean, so it's like, okay, here they are at the hospital. They're doing their plan. Everything's
Yeah.
going the way you'd expect.
Yeah, it's all going normal. Right up until Axe lands on Aldershot, and then there's a big pop, and he finds himself in Z space. Not as a mosquito, but as an Andalite. He's just floating there in zero space in his Andalite body, and it's zero space. Everything's like blank white, stretched out forever. There's that weird thing where you can see yourself from all the angles, including like inside out. And he sees all the other Animorphs are also there in zero space. So it's just like an Andalite, four humans, and a bird floating there, and they're all dying because there's no air.
We
Um,
should, just as a reminder, if for anyone who doesn't remember,
right.
this is the canonical. Every time you morph, your excess mass goes to Z space. That's just how it works.
Yes, that is what they have said before.
But not your
Um,
consciousness normally.
right. Um, and we'll talk about that for sure here. Uh, but yeah, they're all dying out here, and they Axe is like watching his organs shut down or whatever. But in the distance, he sees an Andalite ship passing by, and he calls out with thought speech for them to come pick them up. Um, so this is one of those things. I'm not. Were you ever expecting this to like matter?
Z
The
space in
the
particular.
Z space mass extrusion thing, the thing you were talking about, where it's like, oh yeah, when you morph something small, all your excess mass goes out to Z space.
Yeah,
And
I
then they brought it
guess.
up again in a recent book just so you wouldn't forget.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I thought it would matter in a way like this. It just seemed like, it's an explanation. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It's I didn't at one point, and I think they reference it, them being like, "Oh, does that mean a spaceship could hit us?" And Axe is like, "Nah." And now he's
Yeah.
like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, because the chances are so low it could never happen. Not to mention the fact that supposedly they're supposed to be like blobs of unstructured mass out here, right? They're not supposed to be like just regular bodies. Um so like there
It's
is some thoughts going on here that's like this is going to totally change the science of morphing now that they're in their regular bodies or whatever.
it's just occurring to me now.
Mhm.
Do they do they ever explain why this happens?
Well, the Andalite ship nearby has like somehow in passing near them and catching them in its wake or something, it has like knocked their consciousnesses into their Z space bodies in some way.
Oh, right. How could
Now,
I have forgotten that?
now, here's my thoughts on this. Um,
Uh
the chances of a ship hitting them are near zero, so you'd expect it would never happen. But it could happen. You could also think of that blob. If they're a random blob of mass, if they're supposed to be a random blob of mass, then that random blob of mass is never going to be shaped exactly like their regular body. Just, the chances are too low. But it could happen, right? And it just makes me think that, if if a certain someone were to set this up so that the blobs just happened to be like their regular bodies and they just happened to be hit by a ship, you know, uh, and that certain someone was maybe not supposed to have done that, then
hmm.
maybe that someone could turn around and be like, I didn't do it. It just happened to happen that way. I don't know. It's a low chance, but it could have happened. It's just a thought that I was having here.
I see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
I had a similar thought.
Hmm.
I was almost surprised that this motherfucker didn't show up in this book.
Right. Yeah, it's not explicitly stated ever that this is Elamist shit, but it really feels like Elamist shit to me.
But especially I think by the end of the book, I was like, this shit is too big of a coincidence.
Yeah.
This is too weird that this all happens. This has got to be an Elemist thing, but yeah,
It's
I mean, what it's all. I don't understand most of it. Like,
it's lucky
are
for yeah. Mhm.
are there still mosquitoes on Earth? That's what I. At
Ah,
first, I
So,
thought there were two. They were just in the mass part of them instead of the mosquito part of them.
yeah.
But it seems like no, were completely teleported into space. They're all of themselves.
So I'm pretty sure this is relatively explicit, but it won't answer your question. Which is that there are still mosquitoes on Earth.
Oh, well, we do
Um,
find out. I mean, I don't know. I guess I won't say it yet for the listeners
for the listeners, yeah.
who haven't
But
read the book.
right, right. No, there are the mosquito body is still there on Earth. Um,
So there's a chunk of them they don't have. They don't know
yeah,
which
the size
chunk.
of a mosquito or something.
They're just missing a little corner of their spleen,
Yeah, or who knows? I could lose a
a
mosquito's worth of mass
toenail
and
or
not
something.
notice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the word still here is we're gonna find out. I'm not sure what that means. I don't know what still means because time is gonna get weird.
Right. Yeah, it's so yeah, and the whole time and they don't dwell on it too much. They're just like, "Yeah, we got sent out here."
Yeah.
Like I'm like I need 8 more chapters on this. I don't understand this concept.
Yeah, I mean, like I can get around that because like time and simultaneity over distances like that gets weird with regards to relativity anyway. And now you're throwing z space into the mix. You can kind of just be like, I don't know, weird shit happened. Deal with it. It's z space's fault.
Yeah, but it also says so like Axe sees all the others writhing in agony,
Yeah, because they
but
can't breathe. There's no air.
okay, but I thought they were like, Cronenberg
Hmm.
horror shows, but I guess they're relatively intact.
Yeah, no, they're all intact.
But he does say he can see, but that's just because they're in Z space and he can see
Yeah.
inside and outside of them or whatever.
Yeah, he can see inside himself too. He says he like watches his brain shut down as he fades out of consciousness.
Yeah. So this is where the book starts.
Yeah, this is where things get weird.
This
That
is
other
going to be a
stuff
long
wasn't
one.
important. I feel like this is a normal thing now in Animorphs. We'll get an hour, over an hour in, and we'll be like, so here, this is where the book starts.
Literally everything we have said up until now, besides Z space, just does not matter.
Yeah, it's not relevant. They're out in Z space now. An Andalite ship is picking them up. It just that other shit is not important.
There's
That's back on Earth.
it feels like there's an entire book's worth of content left to discuss.
Easily. Easily. Yeah, like that's
Strap in, folks. Go take a break and get a sandwich because shit's still going on.
oh boy. They get picked up by the Andalite ship. Axe wakes up in, I guess, the sick bay or something. On board the ship, the Ascalon. There are 3 Andalites there with him. Samalin Korath Gahar, the captain. Uh, Harali, or maybe Haralin. That it's spelled 2 different ways in this book. It's not consistent. Harley Fraudlin Serenial, the ship's TO, and Dr. Kowaldwin Ashel Tahailik, the ship's physician.
Yeah.
So he's there.
I was
He's
excited
there
for
with
you to
those.
read those names.
Tahailik is a weird one. Anyway, he's there with these Andalites. And he explains to them how he got there. The doctor is, of course, very excited by all the like weird, impossible, sciencey stuff and the new aliens. Samalin, the captain, interrogates him on how the Animorphs can morph, and Axe does a very bad job taking responsibility for it, the way he's supposed to. As we recall, High Command ordered him to say that he gave them the morphing technology, but Samalin figures out it was Elfangor. But he's cool with it because he used to be Elfangor's TO back in the day and his friend. So Samalin trusts Elfangor's decision. And anyway, we find out the ship is en route to Lyra to take part. Remember the Lyrans? Bringing a lot of stuff back. But the Ascalon is en route to Lyra to take part in what is now open war against the Yerks. So the humans have been ordered to stay in their quarters by the captain, right? They're like, humans, you guys aren't involved in this. This is Andalite stuff. You stay over here, and you are not free to move about the ship. And Axe is. So we get a bunch of fun stuff on board the Andalite ship now.
I was just trying to figure out if I could discern the origins of the name Ascalon. Ascalon is or was a city in the Mediterranean that was like there was a bunch of battles there. It's like by Canaan and Gaza
Right.
and a lot of Middle Ages sieges and battles and things and the Crusades.
Yeah.
So that's and also Ascalon spelled the same way was an antifungal peptide developed in looks like 2002.
That's right. Rachel suggests that it might be that new salad green. Remember when they rolled out that new one?
Right. I'm
Askelin?
always hyped for a new salad green. I was like, oh
Yeah.
shit, they're dropping a new salad green this month.
Yeah.
Clear your calendar, baby, because Tuesday night we are fucking eating.
I do not know what the hell is up with that line.
Well, you see, Rachel is up on the hip new salads.
Right, because she's trying to pretend to be a vegetarian.
Right. This is exciting. This part of the book, a little bit to me, feels reminiscent in a way of the Andalite Chronicles, which I already said, but also of The Forgotten, because
Hmm.
in the sense that they found an excuse to let the characters go somewhere different and do something fun that's not just hang around in Sunnydale, California, or wherever the fuck they're at. And I like that. It's like, oh, this book they get to go do a thing. They get to be in a
Hmm.
space battle. Like this is they're actually doing the shit that before was reserved for the Andalite Chronicles. And you know, they're doing all this subterfuge, they're doing this little shitty guerrilla warfare on Earth. Yeah, real important. But meanwhile, there's like actual fucking space battles happening all the time. And now it's like, oh shit, they actually get to be like a real part of this war in a bigger way, it feels
Yeah, no,
like.
now that's what makes this book so cool is that they actually get to do that. Which again
Yeah,
was my primary
yeah.
problem with the Forgotten. Um,
One little sentence at the end, if they just took out and then it didn't happen, you would have loved it.
I don't
It's
know that
about
I
the
would have
journey,
loved it,
not the
but
destination, is the thing.
I just want the journey to mean something, you know?
It does mean something. The destination doesn't
But
matter. It's the
none of the
journey.
characters were even there, or Jake was the only one who was there, and I don't even know what he learned.
Guess what? It happened. I experienced it and I learned that a lot.
Okay, good. Well, I'm glad you learned about monkeys.
Yeah, I learned
Well,
that
here
monkeys are fun.
we're gonna learn about Lyrans.
Yeah, they get to keep the Lyrans, presumably now, right?
I got bad news for you.
What? What do you mean?
We'll talk about it at the end.
All right. Well,
But
now I'm
while
even
we're here on
madder
board
at
the
you.
Andalite ship,
Yeah,
listen,
we're on the Ascalon. Go on.
we're on the Ascalon. We do get to see a bunch of a good Andalite stuff here. We get to see warriors with shredder weapons and extra power cells slung on a bandolier across their shoulders. I like these guys. We get to hear, I think it's the captain, it might have been the TO, yelling out, "What in Yowlin are you doing drifting around in zero space with 5 aliens?"
Oh
That's
yeah,
pretty
that's
good.
good.
And I quite like how as soon as Axe introduces himself, one of the Andalites is like, "Prince Elfangor's little brother?" That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. All those are good. There's some good character stuff with Axe
Yes.
realizing that he has kind of become more acclimated to human life than he realized,
Hmm.
which is kind of interesting because presumably he only spends like an hour a day maybe as a human, if that.
Yeah,
I
I
gotta assume
guess.
like most days he's just chilling in the woods. Like he doesn't have that much reason to be a human at the mall with them all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean he's bonded with them for sure. There's like a running theme that really starts around here where, it's kind of like, well, now that I'm back with the Andalites, do I is Jake no longer my prince? Do I now have to take orders from this
Mm.
captain? What do I do? Where he's feeling still very attached to the Animorphs, but he's also feeling like uh I thought I would never see an Andalite again, and I'm like really overcome to kind of be back here. Questions of like, who are my people? There's like a bit where he's talking about getting them back home, and he kind of accidentally slips up and doesn't include himself in that, so you're not sure if he would go back to Earth given the option.
It's that classic. I can't think of a specific example, but there's definitely examples where it's like, oh, I'm part of this family, and we
Hmm.
we got to get you. we got to get you to your old family. But then once you find them, they're like, wait, I like the new family now. This is a thing that happens in movies, right? I can't think of an
Yeah, this
example.
is a thing. This is a thing for sure. Axe just loves those cinnamon buns so much. And that
Really,
Tabasco sauce and
he says the Andalites will make pilgrimages to Earth to have the cinnamon buns someday.
yeah. Yeah, well once he writes the Earth travel guide. He
Right.
says he's going to write a book about Earth too or something.
Yeah, mostly harmless.
That's right.
And now,
Mostly harm.
is this
That is not what he would write. He would write cinnamon buns.
mostly cinnamon buns?
Mostly cinnamon buns.
Is this when we also get the guy comes on the monitor, or are we getting there?
Yeah, we can talk about that guy on the monitor.
I need to talk about this guy.
Yeah. So we're gonna meet more. So this ship is on the way to Lyra. Um, I think I already said that. So
Yeah.
Axe is up on the bridge. They see that the Yerks are like completely outnumbering the Andalites in space and on the ground, but the Ascalon is coming in to turn the tide. And while they're on their way here, they get a message from Prince Galuit Enelon Escarouth, or Galuit, or Galweet. I'm gonna say Galuit,
Sure, call him
but
Gal.
good old Prince Gal. He shows up on the monitor to, give them all a big speech about turning the tide. What do you want to say about this Prince Galuit guy?
He has Esgaruth in his name.
Yeah, and even also interestingly, one of these guys, which one is it? The TO, Harali, has Serenial in his name, which is part of Elfangor's name.
So are we just supposed to be? Oh, this is just like Smith or something. There's only so many names of Andalites. They repeat them sometimes.
Yes, that is something I was wondering here. I do not know. Are it doesn't? I was wondering maybe these are the names of their parents or something like that. But then Elfangor and Axe don't have the same names, so that doesn't work. Yeah,
Yeah,
they just
because I was just immediately like, is this Axe's dad or something? And then I realized, oh well, his Esgaruth is in the middle, not at the end. But it seems like a weird choice when you only have like 6 named Andalites in your series, that you would reuse one of those names and not even
yeah.
mention it. It's like it's
Two
so
of them.
casual. Yeah, like that's strange. That seems confusing, but they just don't even. They're just like, it's no big deal. It's just that's just what it
Yeah.
is.
No, it does. It does make it seem like you just give every Andalite 3 first names, and Askaroth and Serenil are just Frank, Joe, whatever.
Right. Yeah. It's just you have a middle name. If 2 people have the same middle name, it's like not that weird.
Yeah.
but but it feels weird when they're aliens and you have questions like that. You don't understand their naming conventions. I also really like that we find out the name of the Lyran god.
Yes, I love the name of the Lyran god.
Yeah, go ahead.
Chamamib.
May your great god
Chamamib
Mib
smile on you
this day.
Yeah, we did it.
Yeah,
This is probably even better than our intro.
Yeah, that's probably, but that's right up there with "May the Cantrona shine and strengthen you."
Yeah, you're great. If we were the Leary boys, we'd be talking about Chamamib.
But we never would it be that or will.
Yeah, if I had thought of it, I would have changed the intro. But
I wonder, do the Andalites do they believe in? Are they just being nice because they have to work with them? I would think the Andalites would be more like, oh, these idiots. We don't believe in their false god, but maybe they think this god is real. Maybe there's evidence this god is real. I
I
don't know
just
how.
assumed, he's working with them, so that's just part of his speech. Like he probably doesn't respect Chamamib at all, but when he gives a speech, that was my read, but I don't know.
Yeah, perhaps. But I don't know how religion works in other planets. Like maybe Chamamib is like the living hive. Like maybe that's a legit thing, like
Could
AWA.
be. We don't see any evidence of Chamamib, but
No,
but
it
there could
doesn't.
be.
doesn't seem like it will come up again. But I don't know, maybe book 24 is the Chamamib.
The Chamamib book. Yeah, you never know with Animorphs.
I can't rule anything out at this point.
Yeah, no, it's true. I'm pretty sure that the Andalites are all atheists.
But they have their rituals and things, so they
Right.
have kind of they're spiritual but not religious.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, their gods are like the trees and shit, right? I don't
Well,
know.
no, they can. The trees are their friends. I think their god is the people, right?
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like they worship their own hierarchical power structures.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so yeah,
Yeah,
we're
but
deep in the Andalite shit.
we're deep in the Andalite shit.
Gross.
But yeah, so as the Askelin's coming down into Lyra, as they're about to land, the controls all of a sudden freeze up, and the ship is now set to land behind Yerk lines. And so all the Andalites, they're panicking. Ah, what's going on? And at this point, Samelin, the captain, he walks over to the TO and chops off his tail because it turns out the captain is a traitor. He's the traitor, and he shredders down all the other warriors on the bridge. Um, Fortunately, the Animorphs have not obeyed orders. They did not stay in their quarters. That kind of rhymes. Um,
Yeah, I liked it.
they're on the bridge in Bug Morph, and they demorph. I think Cassie's on Samelin, so they demorph to distract Samelin and the TO. I keep saying the TO because I don't know if his name's Harley or Harlin.
Well, they
But the
call
TO
him the TO a lot. Yeah, Harlin? Doesn't
they
matter.
do both. But he finds an opportunity to shoot Samelin and kill him. It's too late to stop the ship, so the TO orders the Animorphs to all go bug and escape, and take word of this to Galuit. And meanwhile, he's gonna fire all of the ship's weapons at point blank in the atmosphere, and like the flashback will cause the ship to explode. They'll do maximum damage to the Yerks, uh, and they won't be taken alive or infested or anything like that. So the Animorphs escape from the ship as these hundreds of Andalite warriors recite the ritual of death in unison and like explodes, all that. And then at the last second, as they leave, the TO tells them, oh, maybe different races can be stronger together after all, right? Because before this point, he was all, don't you be working with those humans. I kind of said
Is
that in
that
a
it?
silly, stupid way, but it's a very heavy scene.
You sounded a little bit like Boss Nass for a second. Don't
Mm.
you sabi so working with these humans.
Bings?
Now,
You are
if
working with these Jedi?
if you were to faithfully adapt this book to a 2-hour movie, let's say,
Yeah.
and not like cut anything out, like if you had to
Right.
fit this all into 2
Right.
hours, everything you just said would be like 6 minutes of the movie. Like that's how little time this is all squeezed into in the scheme of this whole book.
See,
There's
I
an
feel like if you were making this into a movie, like the first hour of this podcast would be like 15 minutes. And then
Sure,
like
sure.
the next
But
the next 20 minutes or something we've talked for would be like up until, the hour 15 mark.
Yes, that is what you would do if you were like trying to make a good adaptation. But
Right.
I'm just trying to impress upon the listeners, like just how much is being crammed into a small space here. That there's a mutiny and a hidden traitor and a character goes through an entire arc from
Yeah, we
hating
didn't
humans to loving them.
we didn't spend as much time as we maybe should have on that before, because he spends a whole lot of time being like, oh, we Andalites are strongest when we fight alone and stuff, and being upset with Axe for being in too close with the humans. And then, like, as
Yeah.
he's dying, yeah, he goes through a whole arc. It's
Like that's typically what he says that in Act 1, and then he dies and
Yeah.
redeems himself in Act 3.
Yeah.
This is like a chapter after we met him. It's so crazy the amount of stuff that's going. There's a whole space battle. The captain, we find out he's a traitor, and then he gets fucking disintegrated.
Yeah. Yeah, he chops off the TO's tail. It's like a whole.
We get the first, I think, to my memory, reference to Visser 4.
Yeah, he said Samelin says that Visser's 3 and 4 are close friends, which raises some questions about Visser 4.
I guess he's got to have allies somewhere, but yeah, that's weird. That's something I don't know. Don't know. That doesn't Visser 4 doesn't show up this book, so I don't know about that.
Yeah, we don't know. It's crazy. Now,
uh-huh.
as a kid, um, and I don't even know that you would think of this as like a trap or something. As an adult reading this, you might not even see this as being hinted at. But as a kid, I fell into this quote trap unquote. I definitely thought that the TO was going to be the traitor, right? Because he's the mean one who's always yelling at them, which doesn't make any sense, right? Because he's the one who's like, I don't like working with other species. We Andalites are the best. So it makes sense that he's not the traitor. But like as a kid, I knew there was going to be a traitor because it said that. And then they show up, and Samelin's like, I was friends with Elfangor, and I'm nice. And the TO's yelling at Axe and being. So I was like, the TO is going to be the bad guy.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me. I get it because he's putting up a front. That's his cover.
Yeah, I mean, it got me when I was 9 or whatever, 10. I don't know when I read
I
this.
was too overwhelmed with all this information being thrown at me to even try to. I didn't even think to guess who a traitor would be. I just was like, oh, now there's a traitor. Like it's just all this shit's just happening. So yeah, I didn't have a chance to be fooled in that way.
Reasonable.
I did. I mean, not to get into the morphing shit again, but it feels like he's like, oh, if I lost my tail, I'd rather die. Doesn't he? Does it not? I don't remember. Does it not work both ways? He can't morph and morph back and have his tail again?
Yeah, he should be able to, but they keep talking about. I don't know. Andalites are weird about their tails, and no, they do. It does look like they're not getting out of this situation anyway. Specifically because, like they say, oh well, just because all of our warriors are like morph capable doesn't mean that we have bug morphs. So they're just all going to die on this ship now.
They do specifically say they're like, we mostly use morphs for the spies and stuff, which we've kind of speculated about that.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah. It seems kind of stupid that the warriors don't all have like bug morphs or something. But
yeah, I guess it does, but I kind of get it a little bit. But you're right. I will say what's stupid is this ritual of death speech. It sucks.
You didn't find it powerful of the 100 voices speaking it out in unison?
No, I thought this was going to be something cool. I thought this was going to be like, I do not aim with my eye, I aim with my heart. You know.
Well, it's supposed to be tragic, not cool, right?
It should be cool. The speech is just fucking. I am the servant of the people. I am the. It's like boring. I don't. You suck. You're the servant of the. You're a servant of honor.
It's somber.
It's repetitive. It's dull. Whatever.
That's how rituals are. They're repetitive.
Andalites are boring. I don't know. I didn't like it. I thought it sucked.
Well, when you get James Cameron to adapt this book, you can tell him to rewrite that speech so that it's cool.
It should be like, I don't know. Can you picture this speech and like the music swelling and there's a tear coming to your eye? I don't think so.
I think so.
My life is not my own. When the people have need of it, my life is given for the people. Oh my, I'm asleep.
I don't know. I can see it. I can see it. You have to imagine 100 people saying it all at the same time, going to their death. Yeah. You have to imagine them saying it the way that you would like, chant over a rosary or something, you know?
I mean, again, this feels like it would be better served if we had heard this speech early on. Like if in Act 1 you have somebody like being like, "Oh, this dumb speech, I hate that I have to learn it in school." And then in Act 3, everybody says it for real, and that's when it hits you. So maybe
Mm.
it's just the fact that it's like they just give it to you cold. I don't think it's as effective.
Hmm.
That's my little
They give
how'd
you
you
a
like
bunch of
that?
other Andalite rituals in some of the other books.
Yeah. They all are pretty stupid, I think. Look, I
You
just think
just
Andalite culture is shitty. I don't like these motherfuckers.
you just don't appreciate a good ritual.
No, they're just like, "Oh, I sit and look at a tree for an hour." It's like, fuck off. You're boring.
So what do you think about this Samelin guy? I think it's weird. It's an interesting decision for sure that she decided to make the traitor a former friend of Elfangor's,
Huh.
right? Like,
Yeah.
isn't that?
Yeah, I didn't really think about that because I feel like it's such a throwaway line that he is, but
I
yeah,
guess.
I guess. I mean, yeah, I just didn't dwell on it that much.
Yeah, I like. I mean, the idea of an Andalite traitor, and this is, sadly, I told you earlier when it was brought up that it was not going to get explored very thoroughly. We don't see it explored any more thoroughly than this, which is sad
Hmm.
because like it's very interesting to me to think like, okay, you got this guy. He's going over to the Yerk side. Now that's a weird decision. Why is he doing that? Oh, and he was friends with Elfangor and he was this TO. He came up under him. He respects him. So now it's an even more interesting decision. But like as to what led to that decision, we don't really ever.
Yeah,
I don't
that
know.
is certainly there's a lot to explore there. Is why would Andalites who are famously in love with their own species and hate the Yerks, what convinces an Andalite to go against the rest of them?
Yeah, I mean, like they could just see through all the Andalite propaganda and then
Yeah.
be like, wait a second, we kind of suck, and then the Yerks will be like, see, I told you Andalites suck or something. I don't know,
Yeah,
but Yerks suck too.
right.
There's something there. It just this is the most we're gonna get.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to see if there's some Samelin fanfics that
Mm,
try to flesh him out.
yeah, yeah. This is a good idea. You can look into that.
Okay, well.
Now, before we move forward, I do have to describe Lyra because they describe Lyra from the air here while they're looking at it.
Uh-huh.
So the planet Lyra.
Mhm.
So it is 92% covered in water with a single continent. So mostly water, one big chunk of land, a couple islands. Um, and the land has like plants and stuff, but not a lot of life. The Lyran cities are all underwater, and they're all usually built within 50 miles or so of the continent or an island or something like that. So just so you have kind of a picture of what we're going to when we get to the Lyran homeworld, right?
Yeah. And is the air kind of smoky or something, or did I make that up?
It's like super humid to the point where it's like foggy or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't see very well on it.
Sounds like an average day these days on the East Coast.
Uh, 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 uh.
Oh, I don't want to date the podcast. Sounds like an average day anywhere in the world. That'll
Sounds like
stay
a sounds like a
topical.
wonderful day out here on the East Coast here in 2030. If only the air could be so clear.
If only we could see outside.
Remember the good old days and you could look out your window?
Oh man. Well, now it's just a screen, so you don't know the difference.
Yeah, no, it's just all VR.
So get him
Unless
down
you're
to this
dead.
damn planet. We don't have time for this.
I know.
This is not gonna be
It's
the longest episode ever. I know it. It's
Oh yeah. It's
there's
not
so much to come.
I'm looking at how far we are in, and in like I've got the book chopped up into scenes here the way I normally would, and we're at the right number of scenes. It's just there's more with this book because it's anyway. Uh,
Sorry, folks.
sorry. I hope you like long form content.
You're welcome.
The Animorphs, they've escaped from the ship. They're flying across no man's land, and Rachel and Marco are pissed at Axe for so quickly like thrown in with the Andalites instead of sticking
And
with
they took
them.
that
And
from Wonder Woman, right? The No Man's Land thing? That's from Wonder Woman.
I actually think in the book they say no persons land.
Right.
But
We
Axe has
don't
got.
have time for this. Go on.
You said it.
Go on. Just hey, relax. Keep reading.
Uh-huh. So
Jesus.
Axe is having his survivor's guilt, right?
Right.
Anyway, whatever. They're heading toward. They've got like an approaching Andalite and Yerk forces. The Andalites are outnumbered 10-1. Um, they morph bats to go in. They're gonna try to find Galuit. Um, and they get to the battle, but the battle is over before it begins. Right, the Andalite forces are blown up. The Yerk forces sweep across the area where they were. The remaining Andalite ships all fly off, and in this, the Andalites are beaten. Right, it's over. They're totally fucked. They've lost, and in their moment of defeat, Tobias just disappears. Right, I don't know what happened. He just pops out of existence.
Yeah.
Right, so
That's fine. Whatever. Keep going.
no, there's a lot here.
No, that's just how the Animorphs react.
Oh, no, they do not actually. They specifically describe Rachel as alternately crying and raging about it.
She's fine.
I don't know that she
When
is.
is she not alternately crying and raging?
Well, normally she's only raging.
Sounds like somebody might be on her period.
No, John. This is
What?
not a
I can't say
problematic
that?
podcast. It's not.
I can't
This
say
is
that. That's not
right.
okay to say?
Yeah. In Obama's in Joe Biden's America, it's no longer okay.
Oh,
for you to say
so I just shouldn't.
Yeah.
We should cover up women's bodies and not talk about what they have to endure. I don't think so. I think we should be celebrating their bodies.
Having fun over there.
No, this is what happens when we get to the point where everyone stops listening. I get to be a little gremlin and cause mischief.
Yeah, everybody's out now.
Now it's my domain.
Man. So
anyway, the yerkyboys at gmail.com.
So what do you, I mean, let's remind everyone of the stakes here, because if the Yerks take the Lyran homeworld here, right, then they will have Lyran morphs. And the Lyrans are psychic. I don't know if we've brought that up this book. Assuming you remember that the Lyrans are psychic.
Yeah.
But if they have Lyran morphs on Earth, the Animorphs are fucked, right? Because the Lyrans can read minds. So, this moment of defeat, it's a big deal, right?
Yes, right. Also, if they get Lyran morphs, presumably they will be able to read minds.
Yes, they do get, if they get Lyran morphs and get to keep them, which, anyway.
They don't?
They don't get to, they're gonna get Lyran morphs. There's a lot more of this book left. They're gonna get Lyran morphs. I'm just gonna tell you right now, they don't explain in this book that they don't get to keep them, but they never morph them again. Presumably they do not get to keep these Lyran morphs. Something about the way this whole bullshit works.
This is the Forgotten. It's the same thing.
Well, it matters because, listen, this is a post-episode conversation.
Okay. All right. Let's just, okay. So, look, when they get down to the planet, right?
Yes.
Everyone's pretty pissed off at Axe.
Yes.
Now, on the one hand, okay, he was disloyal. He was a little bit rude. I get that. On the other hand, the odds that the captain would turn out to be a traitor, like,
yeah,
they're acting like this is his fault. Like, this was not an outcome anyone would have seen coming.
I mean, it is worth noting who, they are here. Because, like, Cassie and Tobias are on his side, and Jake is clearly annoyed but not taking part. It's mostly Marco and Rachel who are pissed at him, right?
Well, Tobias earlier was kind of like, think about who's on your side, Axe. He was kind of giving us some shit.
That's true, he was. But, like, they're Shorms, At the end of the day, he's on Axe's side.
Right. But I do really like that Axe's faith in Andalite starts to erode here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. It's
fun.
It's fun. I like the way that it's handled in this book, the way that he has to, because we we talk about sometimes like what are the long running character arcs, and with Axe we had sort of set up this like, oh, Axe wants to go home or whatever. We can really kind of get deeper into Axe kind of questioning, where does he stand with regard to Andalite command or Andalite culture versus humans.
Yeah.
And having those questions is a lot of fun. So
I think this is a great example of a character arc that works for like a single book. It could go on longer or not, but it's not something that I necessarily thought that Axe would have to go through, but it
mhm.
doesn't feel like, oh, they're just doing the Axe thing again for the Axe book. It feels different, it feels fresh, it feels important. Even it's not necessarily, it doesn't have to be an earth-shattering, this is changing the course of the world type of plot point, but it feels like for his character it matters a lot. So yeah, I think it's a good direction for him.
Yeah, no,
Makes
I
sense.
really like it. And they, at the end of the day, though, while his faith in Andalites is somewhat shaken, he does come back to like, okay, but the really high command guys like Galuet, we can trust this guy. This guy's going to be okay. Now he does say, it's pretty dark. He says Prince Galuet lost his entire family to a Yerk raid. His entire family, wife and 3 children, they died rather than be captured. Their bodies were fed to the taxons. So, like, they know they can trust him not to be a traitor to the Yerks.
Right.
That's a
Yeah.
little fucked.
That's just how it goes. When you're fighting the Yerks, that happens from time to time. Your
Yes,
family might get fed to someone.
I mean, when you're Andalite scum like that, right?
Yeah, Andalites come. Hmm?
Now.
I just said what you said.
Now,
Andalites come.
well, there's also a little bit of survivor's guilt from Axe here. We see that explored. Although it's interesting because he then goes on and like almost inverts it. He says, it's a terrible thing living when so many others have died. It's terrible because no matter what you do, a single thought keeps popping up in your head. I'm glad it wasn't me.
Oh yeah.
It's a good little bit here.
That is good. That hits deep. I mean, not me because I don't never had that experience and never will. But it's a good little line.
Yeah. Um, so they are lamenting the loss of Tobias and also the planet, and Axe has a realization. He doesn't tell the reader what it is yet, but he thinks the Andalites are actually going to win. And he can't tell anyone else what it is yet either, in case like the Lyran controllers get to them and read his mind or whatever. But he says we have to make it to the ocean because he's certain Galuet's going to be in the ocean in one of the Lyran cities. So they travel out there. Takes them all night, and when they get there, Rachel also disappears. She disappears mid sentence. She's just gone. They don't know what's happening, but they're starting to disappear. Um, they morph shark, and they swim their way through the Lyran oceans, which we will describe in vivid detail in a bit. When they come upon some Lyran controllers riding water jets, the Lyran controllers start shooting them with like these spears, these Haruchin spears. But their spears suck because they're designed to kill shitty Lyran species, which Lyran species, it turns out, are all shitty. That's why the sharks are so badass. That's why the Yerks wanted to make sharks in book 15. Um, so the Animorphs attack them, and as they're tearing through them with their shark morphs, one of the Lyrans regains control long enough to tell them, bite off the back of their heads. So the Animorphs, they bite off the back of the Lyran heads. This releases the Lyrans, right? The Yerks, I guess, are in this back lobe. So they free the Lyran controllers by biting off part of their head. The Lyrans are fine; they can grow it back, I guess. And the Animorphs acquire the Lyrans and continue traveling to the city of worms, where Prince Galuet is. There's so much shit happening here.
I think we went past some of my notes from about
I,
other stuff too.
we probably did. It's so hard to figure out, like, how do I compress this enough that we won't be here literally forever. But there's also so much shit.
Yeah, well, I just had a couple of very inconsequential things.
Okay.
First, did they morph bats already,
Yeah,
or they just talked? They did.
yeah, they morphed bats earlier to get like under the Andalite radar to approach the battle. And I think they were bats again maybe to get to the coast. I'm not sure.
Well, there's a part where Axe says bats are almost cripples on the ground.
Yes, he does say that.
Of course, we know that wouldn't fly today. Like a
Right.
bat on the ground wouldn't fly.
Right.
But it did make me wonder, do Andalites have physically disabled Andalites? Are there Andalite wheelchairs and shit? Or are they
Put a
all
pin
just...
in that.
Okay, all right. I'll make that post-it note.
Yeah. You've got these last couple of books. You've had some really good questions for pins.
What
I
can
love
I say?
getting pins.
I am just tuning in to what they're dishing out at me, and I like that he says, human humans believe. He's talking about how humans wear clothing.
Hmm.
Says humans believe much of their body to be unacceptable. They are
Yeah.
right, of course.
Right.
And
He's
then
right.
it says, there's nothing uglier than a human nose.
Axe would really like mask mandates.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Reminds me of a really funny bit by a comedian who the liberals don't want me to talk about, so I guess I will just move on.
Okay. Good. Let's move on.
Thanks.
Before you get yourself canceled, you're really cruising for a cancellation on this episode.
What can I say? When the episodes go long, I start to get a little crazy.
We'll have to cut down. Yeah, we'll have to cut down the next one.
Getting a little restless.
We'll try to make them shorter.
If we hit the 4-hour mark, I might say a slur. Okay.
Everyone contribute to our Patreon to get John to say a slur over there.
Oh.
It'll be our $50 subscriber
We
special
could get
or something.
because a lot of content creators go pivot alt-right and get a big audience base that way. Do you think that would work for our show?
I bet it would.
The alt-right Animorphs podcast?
Yeah, the alt-right animal, that would work. Yeah. Then we wouldn't have 50 listeners or whatever anymore. We'd probably have like a couple hundred.
Yeah.
All we'd have to do is sell out.
I don't remember. I wrote down, I think this is the premise for the Animorphs theme park ride.
Ooh.
And I can't remember what I was referring to, but it was something around
sounds
here.
Really good. I want to go on the. I mean, is this the Lyran Ocean? Like you could, because that would be a good like dark ride or something.
Yeah, maybe it was just going through and seeing all the weird fish and shit swimming around. Yeah, maybe that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, I want to describe this ocean because it's really cool. They say it's way more. It's a way more brilliant and vivid blue than Earth oceans, which are normally more gray. They say the water is extremely clear, so you can like easily see all the way to the bottom. It's much clearer than the air is, in fact, because the air is so foggy. So it's in the areas where they're swimming, it's about 40 feet deep. So it seems that feels relatively shallow for the continental shelf, but I don't quite know my oceans very well, so I couldn't tell you. There are geothermal vents everywhere. And it seems like all the many animals there, because there's a lot of crazy, colorful animals everywhere. It seems like they all feed from these geothermal vents. And there might not be any predatory species here at all, which is a fun little ecosystem thing. I don't know if it makes sense, but it also explains why sharks are so badass, right? Like how come the Lyrans don't have any cool sharks to fight our sharks? Well, because they're all nice and peaceful and pretty. They aren't killers like they are on Earth.
Or Pandora.
Or Pandora, yeah. Now, to be fair, the Tulkuns, they wouldn't have fought here either.
Sure, but there's that other fucking thing that tried to eat Loak.
What the hell was that thing called? It's got to have a name.
Oh, of course it has a name, but I don't know. I don't have the visual dictionary yet.
I
got to pick that up.
Yeah, it's sad. But I'll describe the creatures here because I like them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They have huge billowing creatures like white and yellow sails, triangular with biological propellers at each corner. They have brilliant electric blue worms or snakes, each 70 feet long, swimming in wild schools. They have a bizarre creature that rises and falls through the water by blowing air into a bladder so thin it was almost transparent. They have a wonderful sort of fish in the shape of a screw that rotates its way through the water.
Almost, these descriptions are like just not detailed enough for me to really be able to picture what they're talking about, but they're like interesting enough that I want to see these things.
Yeah.
Like, why don't like if the first one is just a bizarre creature? That's not really a description. We've it blows air into a bladder, but other than that, I have no fucking idea what this thing looks like.
Yeah, this is to inspire the little kids to draw all the Lyran animals. If you
Yeah.
make it too detailed, they'll be like, that doesn't look like the book.
Yeah, give me a coloring book of this shit.
Yeah. It's
Animorphs
good.
coloring
It's
book
good.
would be cool.
But
Yeah.
but yeah, this would make a great theme ride somewhere. Cuz especially
Yeah.
like you said, you can put like whatever wacky crazy thing you want in there.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish I felt confident that that's what I was referring to, but I don't remember if that was
I
it.
It was probably either that or something better. You should give yourself credit.
I will. Thank you.
Now I like in this shark battle, um I like that he says there is something very intimate and intimately violent about attacking
Mm.
with a mouth. You have to get
Yes.
very close. You smell and feel and touch your enemy. I have thought about that line sometimes, just because, like, having experienced that as a kid, it's like, yeah, what if you were like a dog and you just had to bite someone? Like, you're right up on them.
Yeah. It
It's
is
good.
it is good. I like how intimate the mouth is.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. I do like to use my mouth on my enemies. It's very
Yeah.
convenient that it's nice that in this instance, for some reason, we decided Lyrans are respectable. We need to spare them and free them, as opposed to Hork-Bajir, who we can just fucking off without a second thought.
Yeah, even though we already met Jera and Ket and proved that that's not okay.
Yeah, but you know, they don't have a nice, neat little brain stem that's just real easy to
Yeah.
chomp right off.
Well, they're really stupid, you see. So they, unlike the Lyrans,
That
right?
is
So they
still
don't have
fucked up.
rights.
I mean, to bite off a part of their neck is, ugh, that's so fucked up.
Yeah, it is really weird, and like you can see the yerk, like the dead yerk, like floating out of their brain or something. It's definitely gross. Um,
And then they want to morph them, and I love that. Of course, Cassie's like, actually, we don't really do that where we're from, and the Lyran's like, shut the fuck up, just morph us, all right?
yeah, yeah. The Lyran's like, I already read your mind. I know about that. I give consent. Whatever. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
We don't need to deal
I
with this.
there's I they do turn off their psychic sense as Lyrans in Morph because they are like embarrassed by each other's thoughts. Um,
Yeah, this was where everybody found out how Jake really feels about his cousin.
right. Oh boy. Oh boy. Good thing Rachel popped out of existence and isn't here to. Oh boy.
Yeah, yeah.
And not so great that Cassie's still here.
Well, Cassie maybe is kind of into it.
It could be. Rachel is her best friend.
Yeah, she thinks she's beautiful too.
And I like Marco says, I'd like you all to know that whatever thoughts of mine you're reading, they're totally made up. They aren't real.
But then they can just turn it off like a switch so that uh, no one else can read their minds.
I think that the other Lyrans can still read their minds. I think they just turn it off so that they can't read each other's minds anymore
So
because
how
they're
does
too
that work?
embarrassed. Well, they
'Cause we
just don't
were
do it. It's like closing your eyes, right? I don't want to see, so I close my eyes.
oh, it's not that they're protecting themselves, it's that they're choosing not to look at each other.
Yeah, later on we're gonna like when they get to the city of worms, the other Lyrans are all already gonna know why they're there. So it seems like they don't, they can't actually protect themselves, but they can not look.
Okay. I was wondering because I just wasn't sure how the Lyran brains operated.
Yeah, well, you're gonna have to glean all you can from this part.
Yeah, Gleet?
Gleet, biofilter.
Thank
Um,
you.
I like that they do get a little bit more into that with the Lyrans. They say that like Lyrans naturally feel very lonely when they can't be in each other's heads. Like they feel very lonely not reading each other's thoughts because that's instinctive for a Lyran. Um, but Axe says
Mhm.
for humans and Andalites, secrets and lies and the loneliness of privacy are natural.
Yeah, I like that. It's like that movie, Secrets and Lies.
Mm. Yeah, a couple of good lines around this spot. There's also like a part where they all come together to give a speech about like being together is like, this alliance is not weak. Like what do you didn't like the death ritual. Do you like where sky meets sea, Andalite, human and Lyran are joined as allies?
Yeah, I like that a lot. That's
Okay.
good.
Okay, there you
That's
go.
a good line. The Lyrans are poets.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense cuz he's got in your head is the figured
The
out what you
An-
wanted to hear.
I get the Andalites are just too they're just too rigid and traditional. I don't think they have the artistry to make words
Mm.
sound good because they don't appreciate language. Their thought speech is just like they don't actually technically have. Well, they do have a language. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Whatever.
Maybe this is why Andalites hate human music so much. It's too creative.
Yeah, I
Maybe
think that's
that maybe
probably right.
human music from Rick and Morty is actually Andalite music.
Hmm, I like it. Okay. Um.
Now,
Yeah.
yeah, they get to the
Yeah.
city of worms. The city of worms is also a crazy ass thing that I'm gonna have to describe later.
The book is still going.
It's still fucking going. We're not.
We're
Anyway, the
almost done.
Lyran, like I said, the Lyrans all know why they're there. They direct them off to Galuit, right? Because they're like, go over there. Galuit turns out he already knows all about them. He already knows about Elfangor too, because he's in the know. So he's like, skip introductions. I don't have time. I need you to do this thing for me. Um, Acts true to his like word earlier when he was like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna be with you guys. I don't even know if we went over that. He stops him. He's like, Jake is my prince. Go talk to him instead. Um, so Galuit he reveals the plan that Axe had guessed at, which is that the continent was lost. Right, the Yeerks overwhelmed them, and they knew they were going to lose on the continents. But the Lyrans don't really care about the land. It doesn't matter. It's only important as a military base. So they kind of lost on purpose to draw the Yeerk forces in. And once they all consolidate there, the Andalites are going to detonate a series of quantum bombs, destroying the entire surface of the continent. Um, the problem is that the Andalites never had the chance to arm the bombs, right? They were supposed to be able to hold off the Yeerk assault longer with the Askelin's help, but since the Askelin never showed up, they lost too quickly. So they need the Animorphs to go in and arm the bombs, since all of Galuit's warriors don't have good morphs to do that. Again. So as he's explaining this, Marco also disappears, right?
And
Like in
this
the
is
middle of
where
saying,
I
yeah.
started going between tearing up and raging.
Yeah. Oh no, Marco!
I was
Uh,
upset.
yeah. They get the ship's science officer over, and he hypothesizes, but he doesn't know, that they are caught in kind of a snapback effect of some kind. They're like somehow anchored to the mosquito on Earth, and that is somehow popping them back, maybe all the way to Earth, maybe just to zero space where they're dying, but like they're going one by one and they're going at a faster and faster rate.
Right.
I think he says they are caught in a residual flux field.
Sure. I
So
mean, this
this,
is
yeah,
just
yeah,
this, this is just so much sci-fi stuff.
yeah. It is crazy how much shit she jammed in here. I almost feel like maybe in structuring this book, I should have just been like, look, the opening 6 or 7 chapters, they do some shit. It doesn't matter. We're not going to talk about it. Fucking who cares?
Yeah, it does. It really is a huge waste of time.
The city of worms. There's like a massive cone. Looks kind of like an ice cream cone with like
Yeah.
holes all over it. It's like bright pink with some like green and purple and like bright colors, right? There's holes all over it that are like windows slash doors. It's like 3 dimensional because, when we're walking, you go in 2 dimensions, but the Lyrans swim up, down, any which way. They're swimming all over the place. Um, it's called the City of Worms because those 70-foot long blue worms I said earlier, they are swimming around and around the city in like some kind of like like a cyclone. They're like it's like a mini tornado of whales, or like a halo of worms, not whales, worms going around. I don't know if they like feed on its excess power or something. Who knows? Um, Inside this cone, there are a bunch of floating bubbles. Some of them have water, but some of them have air, and that's where the Andalites are. They're in one of these floating bubbles inside this giant cone surrounded by worms. You can kind of, I guess, picture those bubbles kind of like Odo Gunga, but way more insane. Like, way more fucking insane.
So there are no predators here, but there are these worms which are dangerous.
I don't think they're dangerous.
Aren't they? I thought like when they're going through, they're like the worms are gonna get us or something.
I don't remember that at all.
Maybe that was just my perception. I don't know.
Maybe you just hate worms and you were like, oh no, the
I
worms.
thought they're like bats and they're like, oh shit, there's worms everywhere. Oh, we gotta get through them.
Oh no, that's later. We are not even close to that part yet.
Well, I'm ready to get there. Aren't we? These are different worms you're talking about?
Yeah, those are snakes. These are the worms around the city of worms. Those snakes guard the bright hole, which I have not talked about yet.
I guess maybe I thought they were the same thing. I don't know.
No.
I mean, these worms are not important.
Well, it's important to the visual.
Yeah,
you have to understand what the city of worms looks like. You have to understand how crazy this whole place is.
I mean, look, I like the rest of this book. It feels very much like a Mission Impossible third act mission. You got to like hold your breath underwater and activate the bombs and everything.
Yeah.
But this does finally feel like it's kind of, I mean, it's just an action scene. It's surrounded by outlandish sci-fi concepts, but at this point I'm numb to them. So I'm just like, it just washes over me like nothing.
You're getting tired.
Yeah, I don't. The book has worn me out. I don't have
because of all of it.
I'm just like, I gotta go get these bombs. Like, I don't know what the fuck's happening. Get them back home. At this point, I've kind of assumed that they're disappearing and going back to Earth.
Yeah, I mean, like, where else could, like, what, are they all dead? Come on.
Right.
Let's be real.
So at this point, I'm just like, this is a fun action scene, but that's about it. I'm kind of ready to get to it. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know about you. I don't know what.
Well, I just want to bring up the one bit because I really like the conversation with Galluet and Jake, where Galluet's asking them to do stuff, and Jake's like, Jake says he'll do it without knowing what it is, and there's a whole conversation, and Galluet says, I have known worse princes than this one. It's a good little scene.
Yeah, that's true. I did like that. I feel like Axe is kind of like a sub caught between two doms.
That's an interesting feeling you've got here.
Yeah, that's one of my notes.
Now, what about a little bit later where, he explains what they have to do, and Jake's like, oh, is it too late to change our mind? And Axe has to explain what human humor is to Galluet.
Sure, that's always fun, yeah.
These are good. If these happened in the first third of the book, you'd be like, yeah, that's great.
Right, but it's too much. They put too much on me, and I don't have the energy anymore to comment on all these little things.
All right, well, I'm just going to walk through the rest of the book because there's still like a lot of shit that happens.
Yeah, sure. No, I'm not saying you shouldn't. You should, of course.
All right, well, I'll just go through it here. So they call it the Central Arming Unit for these quantum bombs. It's in what's called a bright hole, which is a large underground bubble in the volcanic Lyran continent. It's filled with bioluminescent plants. I'll just describe it now, I guess. When they get into this bright hole, it's like about 500 feet across. It's like 100 feet tall. Axe describes it as being alive but dead feeling, a wonder of nature but a creeping spirit crushing place. Um, Covered in like plants and shit. It's cool. But to get there, they have to go through a completely dark underground river through a tunnel filled with these like echolocating snakes, and all of them are hanging from the ceiling, and they'll eat anything that goes past. So these are the snakes you're thinking
These
of.
are the snakes, yeah.
These are the snakes. Why did it have to be snakes? Says Indiana Jake. Um,
Yep.
yeah. So they they head to the river opening, they meet some Lyran controllers and kick their asses, but not before the Lyrans alert the Yerk forces. So they don't have long before the Yerks will, drill through the surface and come into the bright hole and stop them. Cassie pops out of existence at this point. They morph bats and fly through the tunnel. They're dodging all the snakes. It's a cool action sequence, like they said. I like the way it's described. When Axe gets out into the bright hole, Jake has also disappeared. Axe sees the arming cylinder. He runs to it, across all the weird glowing plants and mosses and flowers, whatever. And just as he gets there, a hole is blown in the ceiling and a bunch of Hork-Bajir warriors jump down. Axe disarms the thing, or disarms. Axe arms the thing, is what he does. He arms the bombs. They're supposed to give him a half hour to escape, but there's no time, so Axe contacts Galliwit and he's like, "Do it now! Blow it now!" The Hork-Bajir fire at him, and he sees the beam freeze in midair as time stops, and he pops out of existence and back.
Yeah.
It's a cool thing.
It's a good scene, and it's good, and everyone starts disappearing faster. Again, feels like I can't come up with a specific reference, but we've seen this kind of thing before where it's like one by one the party disappears, and it's like you kind of know it's like who's going to be the last one left who has to bring it all home. And and it's Axe in this case, and it's exciting, it's dramatic.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, a lot of these other books have been paced a little bit better in terms of not like just crashing into the ending full speed. This book is not so much that.
It's I don't know, I felt it was pretty. I didn't think it felt too rushed or anything.
I guess I just mean more like they do this crazy thing and then it's over.
Well, yes, yes. Yeah. After the thing, then yes.
Yeah, and because like when I think about this book, reading it as a kid and then like just blazing through it as an adult and being like, I read it, now on to the next one. I always think of this part with the bright hole as lasting for a significant part, right? Like the bright hole is such a cool environment and they spend so much time in it, and the snake tunnel is so cool and they're getting there. And so I think of this as taking up a reasonably large part of the book. This is what they're here on Lyra to do, is blow up the continent. This is the mission they have to do. It's like 2 chapters, 3 chapters.
Yeah.
It's not very long.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, it's yes, the plot of this book is
yeah.
It's like what I don't know if it really feels like they were writing this as they figured out what the plot was.
Yeah, one of the other things is that there's so much I don't even like, because on the other hand it's pretty, I don't know, efficiently written. Like I feel like in some of the other books we wouldn't get this worn out because we would have gotten to the end and I would have just summed up 4 chapters in a single sentence, because it's like, fuck it, that doesn't matter. But there's just always more stuff happening that's cool or interesting or new that I want to kind of dwell on and be like, look at this visual, look at this character moment.
Yes, in fairness, I think it's unfair to the bright hole and the snakes and even the city of worms, because it's just like at this point there's just so much. I mean, I don't think the book treats them fairly, because it's like you didn't give enough room for all of these concepts to breathe individually. I don't think it's too much for one book that's not longer.
I can feel that, although I do still love all these concepts and I love them all coming super fast. It is true though, like if this could just be Avatar, right? This could be a 3-hour movie.
Yeah. It's a lot. I mean, I'll also say, going back to I don't know, feeling like it's being made up as they go. It feels like a tabletop RPG. It feels like this is somebody's D&D campaign of
Hmm.
like, here's my, which I know they have done Animorphs D&D out there. They, all right, now the party, you jump in the water. What do you do? All right, now this guy gives you a quest, and
Hmm.
it's like it just feels like this thing, then the next thing, then that thing, without maybe enough connecting tissue or enough setup for some of these concepts. It's just so much. I mean, this is without even, if you didn't read the book where Lyrans were introduced, that's just a
Yeah.
whole other thing.
Yeah.
Or Z
Yeah.
Space.
Yeah. No, it's a lot, and it does really like these briefly tell you what happened, but like my God, is it really hurt to not know what these things are?
Yeah,
It's a
but I
good thing the book where Lyrans were introduced was one of the first ones I read as a kid.
these are more to me nitpicks that I have after the fact, more so than as I was when I'm reading it. I'm caught up in the action and the momentum, and it's not something that's detracting from my enjoyment. But I do think overall it could have been done better. I don't know.
Eh, I guess I could see that. Yeah, but I guess I'll wrap it up here. So remember how they were doing that thing with Aldershot way back
Right.
when, a million years ago? They're all back, right? They popped back. They all returned at the same time they left, despite popping out at different times. It kind of was what I was talking about. Like the time doesn't make a lot of like. I don't know how that works. I don't know how the physics work.
They all
Whatever.
went back to the same time.
Right, that the mosquito was anchoring them here
I
at
get
this
it.
location in this point in time.
Yeah, right. No, I get
Okay.
it.
Yeah, I mean I can handle it, but
Well, doesn't the
anyway,
exact same thing happen in the Forgotten? Am I making that up?
no, because in the Forgotten only Jake was real. And so there
Right.
were two Jakes at the same time.
But
And
they did do they start disappearing one by one. Didn't they? Does that
um
happen in that book? Or am I making that up?
I don't
Was
I'd
I
have to look. I
swear
don't remember them disappearing. Well, maybe they do. I don't remember. The
I
end of
feel
that
like
book
there
gets a little.
was.
All I really remember about the end of that book is that it doesn't have. The only one that matters what happens to is Jake, right?
Yeah.
And he's gotta not be around anymore by the time they left, be it by dying or returning or something.
um
I don't know,
yeah. Uh
but
yeah.
whatever. They're here. Axe biting Aldershot brings him out of his coma somehow, and I guess the police are coming because there was gunfire and Aldershot's not in a coma anymore. And so all the Yerks are panicking because he wasn't supposed to wake up yet because they're not going to be able to infest him or Visser 3 can't morph him or something, even though they wanted him to wake up earlier. I don't know. The Yerks all give up and run, I guess, so I guess it's solved. It's solved. Don't worry about it. That part wasn't important to the book. We wasted like 40 minutes of your time at the beginning. Um, and we wrap it all up with a conversation. The Animorphs talk about what happened at the food court, and it ends on Axe asking to get some cinnamon buns. Uh-oh, here we go again. That's
Yep. I
that's
looked I
the
I
book.
just checked. I don't think that happened in the Forgotten. I maybe I'm thinking of a different Animorphs book. I thought I remembered something similar occurring another time, but
You're probably right.
I think there's something like it might not be a sci-fi thing, but maybe just like one by one they each like had to, stay
Yeah.
back for some reason. I don't know. Anyway,
I've been doing this too long to think of other books now.
yeah, it's hard. Yes, I don't. It is bizarre that at the end of this book, it's just like whatever. We didn't care
Yeah.
about this plan.
Yeah, fuck it. It all worked out somehow. I don't know.
It's so weird. Like I don't understand that. Why spend so much time setting this up for just nothing? It could have been any it could have happened so much earlier, and then you could have had all the Lyra stuff still play out over a longer period of time.
Yeah, Eric could have been all like, I saw some activity, but I don't know what it is. It might not be important. Go check it out. And then they're like, okay, we morph flies. And then chapter two, pop. And then you would have had like
Yeah.
5 more chapters to do this Lyra stuff.
It could have just been the opening. It could have been,
Yeah.
hey, Marco wants to turn into flies because he wants to annoy a girl. It
Yeah, but then
doesn't.
you wouldn't get to see him annoy a girl. So, like, that part we got to keep.
Well, that's what the ending would be.
Okay. Yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
it's just yeah, it's very very strange. It's such an odd choice to just drop that plan.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
mean, this
know.
is
I don't
returning
know.
to what I was saying earlier. Imagine this is you see this cover and you've never heard of this series and you're like, "What the fuck is this?" Again, you read this book if this is the first one you ever read. If you walk into the store, see this advertised as the latest, you buy it. You're not I guess you get what it's like it's the I don't know what I expected meme, right? Like
Yeah.
cover like that.
Yeah, but what's can we just before we leave we need to remember what's the decision? Was it
Hmm.
was the decision to whether
When
Axe wants Jake to be his prince or the other
Oh.
guy?
Oh, okay. I was thinking maybe the decision was when Samelin decided to betray the Andalites.
Yeah, oh, I had an alternate, which was like the decision to go down with the ship or to crash
Hmm.
the ship. There's many decisions made throughout the book.
The decision to eat too many cinnamon buns.
The decision should have been the name of the Forgotten because it was all about his
Yeah.
decision.
And
Not
yeah. This one could be the Forgotten too in a way because like it's like top secret, so probably only Galuet really knows what they did or something.
Yep. Well,
And
apparently,
the
I guess the Askelin
Askelins.
incident becomes famous,
Oh
right?
yeah. I was gonna say I would assume that is like all classified and top secret, but
He's got a term for it.
yeah, he says the Askelin incident.
Or
Uh
Axe just coined that, and he's like, "This is going to be a thing." I think.
yeah. Yeah, I don't
I'm
know.
just looking forward to many more books that must deal with Hewlett Aldershot III and his superior Jane Carnegie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just you wait until you you get the extensive Aldershot the third book.
Now, here's the good news: there's not that much pop culture in this one.
Yeah, we're almost done here.
In fact, there's a couple not directly named, like Axe is eating some, I don't know, they're like triangles with dust or something that I'm pretty sure are Doritos.
Hmm.
Of course, the Cinnabon. Rachel mentions major sales on at Express and Old Navy. Again, a large golden sign in the shape of 2 conjoined arches. I don't think they say McDonald's, but it is a
Yeah,
McDonald's.
they don't, but yeah, I said McDonald's when I said what building they landed on. The book does not.
Mm-hmm. We get some capital D dumpsters.
Mm-hmm. 2 of them.
The Snickers bar, which of
Mm-hmm.
course Axe thinks is a great human creation. Marco calls Samelin Captain Benedict Arnold. He also
That
says,
sure jumps over a lot of the story, huh?
yeah.
From the roof of the McDonald's to Benedict Arnold.
He also says, to the Batmorph, Robin.
Mm-hmm.
This is a line we didn't really dwell on, but I was,
Yeah,
I
this
this
is a
one
good
was,
one.
I was like, what is this? When Marco says like, oh, you don't know who's on whose side. What is this, Vietnam?
Yeah.
What the fuck? What a
Yeah, I mean, this
weird.
is kind of like the HIV thing.
Yeah.
Some throwaways I bet you weren't expecting to see.
They say that again, it looks like a gigantic Dairy Queen cone.
Hmm.
This
The City of Worms does.
could be any ice cream cone. I don't know why it has to be Dairy Queen, but that's fine. Marco says, I guess we follow the yellow brick road when they have like, what is it, like psychic visions of where to go.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
And my one of my favorites, Jake says he should be referred to as the Jake formerly known as Prince.
Yes. Now I like this because you know when Axe retells this joke later, back when everybody's together. He's like, "Oh, I'll call you the Jake formerly known as Prank." Everybody hates it. And Jake gets snippy about no one liking his joke, where he's like, "That's actually my joke, but it's fine. You don't have to find it funny." Now, he did that last book too. He like tried to tell some nuthouse jokes and nobody liked them. I don't remember this being a character trait of Jake's, that nobody thinks he's funny, but I like it.
That is good, because I do think Jake probably is not funny. And I
Yeah.
like that's, he's best friends with Marcos, so he's like, I can joke around too, and
Yeah.
nobody is into it.
I think that works.
Nobody likes Marcos jokes either, though, except for Jake.
I like Marco's jokes.
Well, yeah, obviously. Jake's like, I don't have to fucking impress you.
That's right. Yeah. I remember that line.
Okay, good. So we should probably close out this episode now.
Yes, before anything else happens.
Good book, though. Great book. I'm excited to see how we feel about it at the end of the season. Figure that out.
Yeah.
Now, if you have thoughts about this book, or you'd like to cancel me, you can let us know. Email us, theyerkyboys@gmail.com.
Please stop him.
We're also on Twitter at the Yerky Boys. You can follow me on Twitter at Quence, and you can find me on Threads at Jonathan Estes.
Wow.
Where I am threading up a storm, and I need all the threaders I can get over on Threads.
Hell yeah. Well, I'm not on Threads. I never will be. You can find me on Twitter for now at DogTimesMcGee.
You might be.
I might be. Thanks everyone for listening.
Wait. Well, what are we doing next week? Because
listen,
do you know?
I had a pretty good idea. I'm thinking after this book that we might split it in. We might try splitting it in two, right? Because we're doing a Megamorphs next week. I'm a little bit worried, and I feel like if we went under by a significant margin, that might not be the worst thing in the world.
Okay, so I want the people to know, if they want to read ahead of time, whether or not they should read the whole book. That's all.
Well, tell you what, I'll be 100% confirmed on that by tomorrow, so I will put out a tweet about it. If you're in the future, you can check what tweets the Yerky Boys made on 7/17/23, and then you'll know.
I thought I could edit it in right here.
Oh, yeah, you probably could.
Yeah, I could be like, okay, so everyone next week read chapters 1 through 19. And then they'll know.
That makes sense. Or you could just be lazy and not do it.
That depends if I remember.
Okay. It'll work either way.
All right, that's it. I just wanted to make sure that was taken care of.
Okay. Tune in next week when we'll be talking about Megamorphs 2, in the time of the dinosaurs, in which the Animorphs are watching you on the Yerky Boys.